katika jamhuri yetu hii. Twakuomba utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia na haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi hii yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mkononi mwetu. Amen.
Thank you, Senator Onyonka. We will then do a quick round of introductions so that we know who is in the room. And I'll start from my committee member on the far left.
Thank you, Chair. This is Senator Mwenda Gataya, Tharaka County member of this committee.
Senator Okiya Mtato Koiti, member of the committee.
Senator Maria Omar, member of this committee.
Madulo, Senator Isiolo, member.
Senator Richard Onyonka, member of this committee, Senator Kisii County.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is John Medhu, the Senator for Nyandarua, the Chairman Committee on Water, Lands, Natural Resources and Environment, and a member of this committee.
Morning, Governor. Cherargei Kiprotich Samson, Senator Nandi County and the Vice Chair of this committee. Karibuni.
Moses Otieno Kajwang, Senator Homa Bay, and the Chair of this committee. The clerks can quickly go on record.
Good morning. George Otieno is my name, Committee Clerk CPAC. Other members can go on record through you, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Chris Pastima, Committee Clerk.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Kibet Kevin, Committee Clerk.
Good morning, Chair. Annette Kwamboka, Council.
Michelle Torodigo, Council.
Good morning, Chair. William Zenton, Hansard Indodio.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Katama Kaindi, Research Officer.
James Igusia, Sergeant Terms.
That's all, Chair.
Thank you. We work very closely with the Office of the Auditor General, and we have the OAG represented.
Thank you, Chair. I'm David Ismaili, representing the Office of the Auditor General, and I'm attached to this committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. We also work closely with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Please go on record.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning all. I'm CPA Iba Washuka from EACC, liaison officer attached to this committee.
For purposes of today's meeting, we invited the Governor of Kisii County to respond to certain issues that the committee had communicated in the last 1 or 2 months. I'd like the Governor Kisii just to go on record and to allow the team he has come with to introduce themselves by name and designation.
Well, thank you, Chair. My name is Simba Arati, Governor Kisii. Me here have some officers from the county that can introduce themselves.
Morning, Chair. I'm Dr. Tucho Obure, Chief of Staff, Office of the Governor, Kisii County.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair. My name is Kenneth Abincha, CC Finance, Kisii County.
Good morning, Chair. My name is James Ntabo, the County Secretary. Thank you.
Morning, Chair. My name is Duke Ongech, Director, Human Resource Management, Kisii County.
Kisii County Executive to deliberate on payment of salaries and other emoluments to non-existing or unaccounted for staff and other human resource matters. Agenda number 4 we have already dealt with, the brief on committee paper number 24. So could we get a proposer and a seconder for the agenda? Senator John Methu.
Mr. Chairman, I propose.
Thank you, Senator Methu. Could I get a seconder?
I second.
Okay, thank you. We'll take Senator Gataya as the seconder of the agenda. We will proceed to the next order, which is administration of oath. The Constitution provides that Parliament or any of its committees may examine any witness under oath it has become a tradition and a practice before this committee. So the clerk shall guide the governor in the process of taking the oath.
I, Paul Simba Arati, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I will give before this committee in respect of the matter before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Okay. There was a written response that was required of the governor, and I just want to find out from the clerk whether that response is before us. On our letter dated 17th November, the committee requested the governor of Kisii to provide a comprehensive response on various human resource issues. A follow-up letter on 21st of March 2023, and 27th of April, the committee invited the governor of Kisii County to appear before it. So, Governor, you may proceed and just table your written responses for consideration.
Mr. Chairman,
there's a narration that accompanies it.
Table the following document before the committee. Management response and accompanying annexures on the human resource issue for the county executive of Kisii County.
Okay. I believe, clerk, that what the governor has just tabled is what is in our files, because you had asked that the responses come.
Yes, Chair, I do confirm that the responses came and they are in our files. The yellow files in front of us.
Senator Dulo, I see you have an intervention.
Chairman,
Proceed.
I want to raise a preliminary question to the governor. And I must confirm to this committee is my friend over the years. But to my surprise, it looks like he has not adhered to gender balance in appearance this morning. Even if he has taken care of them in the appointment, wherever they are, but as a standard kept in this house and in this committee, can the governor tell us where the ladies are, or they are not able to represent Kisii County or gender as required by law?
Senator Gata, is it on a related matter? Or?
So, yeah, it's true, Chair, because I thought maybe the transaction was not yet over. I thought maybe there's some people who were supposed to join the team from governor's office. Now that I have not seen any lady, I think that conversation is not complete.
Okay, Governor Arati.
Chair, thank you for the question raised by Honorable Dulo. To be told is that yes, I was to be accompanied by female employees of the county, specifically from procurement, who is on safari. Again, I observe the gender parity. But again, to be told, as you see, even in yourselves, out of so many men, there are only 2 ladies.
Orders, Governor. That is called a fallacy of argument, turning the gun on the person asking the question. Just deal with it from your institution. Leave the Senate out of it. Just provide the assurance to Senator Dulo.
The assurance is that, Chair, yes, we observe the parity issues of gender in the county of Kisii.
I think, Senator Dulo, maybe is there some advisory you want to give the governor so that the next time he appears before us, we don't have to deal with this supplementary?
Chairman, I have a lot of respect for governor, and I think I prophesied for him to be the governor for Kisii, which he is now. And I know he is a serious gender supporter, female gender supporter. In future, Governor, I think in our appearance, we will not allow you to appear before this committee without proper gender balance. And for us on this side, these are the only 2 ladies in the committee. So you cannot tell us we are not also gender balanced. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Senator Cherarke.
Thank you. Maybe, Governor, just out of curiosity, and congratulations, I remember we campaigned for you. Maybe out of curiosity, how many percentages are we talking about? Can you just give us a snapshot? Because I know if you give us a snapshot, maybe some of the questions that we might ask later will answer. As in gender parity, how many percentage versus which percentage?
Chair, again, I want to say that I've tried, indeed, to make sure I've met the constitutional threshold of the balance, and has given him the CCs. Out of 10, I have 4 ladies. The chief officers, I have, out of 14, I have 6 ladies. Therefore, very well, I met again the threshold of the constitution, the requirement.
Maybe you, Chair, the entire employees of I know Ntabo, I've known him for some time. You know, he's our in-law. So how as in the snapshot, the entire workforce of Kisii in terms of percentage?
In the percentage, women, they are more than men again, surprisingly.
So it's 60-40.
It's all right, around 55. No, women 55%, men 45%.
Congratulations.
Yes. That's
Okay, senators, for us to be dealing with the facts, because this meeting is about the human resources, and even things like gender parity is an HR concern. I'm going to recommend that we go to the specific issues, have that conversation, and see how Kisii County is managing that very important resource, the human resource. So maybe we just go straight to the issues before us. And by introduction, the Public Accounts Committee noted that the Auditor General, as in successive audit reports, found that since 2013, most counties paid salaries and other emoluments to non-existing or unaccounted for staff. Despite the findings and recommendations of the Auditor General on the matter, payments made to staff were not accounted for, as continued to result in growing and unsustainable wage bills in the counties. Indeed, to position that in the national psyche, I think the daily newspapers, the major ones of mass circulation, have repeatedly run headlines calling counties the domain of ghosts because of the occurrence and recurrence of ghost workers and payrolls that could not be justified, could not be explained, and could not be sustained. The committee, therefore, took the decision to write to several county governments that had been cited by the Office of the Control of Budget for having unsustainable wage bills. Kisii was one of those counties, and it is important to mention that this conversation is not only limited to Kisii County. There are several other counties that we will be calling before the Senate. On 17th November, the committee requested the governor of Kisii County, Simba Arati, to provide a comprehensive response on various human resource issues. On the 21st of March, the committee, through a follow-up letter, requested Governor Arati to provide a comprehensive report on payments of salaries and other emoluments to non-existing or unaccounted for staff in the county. Having received the written responses, the committee took the decision to invite the governor, Simba Arati, to appear before it at its meeting scheduled to be held today to consider the responses of Kisii County Executive on the HR issues. We must also situate the matter appropriately. We take note that Kisii County has had a governor for 10 years. We also take note that we have a new governor in Kisii County. The intention of our conversation is to understand the extent of the problem, to understand the measures that the new governor is taking, and to understand whether the measures are being taken within the law. I think our intention is just to find a solution that will help Kisii manage its problem of a ballooning wage bill. With that in mind, and with that being the spirit of today's conversation, I will ask the governor to start us off with their response to our first letter of 17th November 2022. And I believe that your response to our letter of 17th November 2022 is the one dated 9th of January 2023. The very first question we had asked was for the county government of Kisii to highlight the recommendations that have been made by the Auditor General on the county's wage bill and human resource management processes from financial year 2013-2014 to date. Governor, I would like you to read your response on that.
Chairman, thank you. Again, want to just straight to go into the response. I don't know if you need me to read the...
Yes, it is important that
all of it.
Yes, just read your written response. That way it will be orderly.
Right, sure, thank you. Response to the Auditor General's successive audit report, CAPS assessment, and special payroll audit issued since 2013 to date. I make reference to your letter reference number Senate DGAC CPSC 2022-006 of 17th November 2022, in which the Committee on the County Public Accounts raises issues which requires the county government of Kisii to respond. This response builds on our earlier letter reference number KSI/CG/GVN/INTROD/12/2023 of 1st December 2022, in which His Excellency myself requested for extension of deadline by the 2 weeks to enable us effectively respond to the issues that the Committee of County
Just a minute, Governor.
Accounts.
Senator Mariam Omar, you have an intervention.
Chair, we need a copy of this response.
Clerks, make sure every member has a copy. Are the rest of the members okay? You may proceed, Governor.
Okay, thank you. Public accounts are raised. However, we realized that 2 weeks were not adequate since the process entailed making reference and attaching supporting evidence to the responses. I'm here today to provide the key recommendation in respect of each issue and measures the county government has taken to address them for the period covering 2013 to date. Number one, Chair, the recommendation that have been made by the Auditor General on the county's wage bill and the human resource management process from financial year 2013-2014 to date. Recommendation 1, the county executive wages and benefit to employees should not exceed 35% of the total revenue in accordance with section 25(1)(a) and B of Public Finance Management County Government Regulations 2015. The county executive member for finance, with the approval of the county assembly, to set a limit on the county government expenditure on wages and benefit for its public officers pursuant to section 107(2) of Public Finance Management Act 2012. 3, the County Public Service Board should have a human capital plan and approval staff establishment in place as required under Regulation 119(2) of Public Finance Management, County Governments, Regulation 2015. 4, the Public Service Board, in recruiting employees, must ensure that at least 30% of the vacant positions at entry level are filled by candidates who are not from the dominant ethnic communities pursuant to Section 7 of National Cohesion and Integration Commission Act 208 and Section 65(1)(e) of the County Government Act 2012. The Public Service Board, in recruiting employees, must ensure that at least 5% of all appointments shall be for persons with disabilities, pursuant to Section B 2223(2) of the Kisii County Public Service Human Resource Policy. Chairman, the mitigation measures.
Before you proceed to mitigation, Office of the Auditor General, do you own these recommendations? They sound consistent with what we've discussed before.
Yes, we do, Chair.
Okay. Proceed, Governor.
Mitigation strategies to deal with the auditor's recommendation, Chair. In order to address the business raised by the Office of the Auditor Generals, the county government has taken the following measures. 1, or A, the county has since terminated all staff working on casual basis. B, the county suspended promotion of staff since January 2022 for a period of 18 months. Non-renewable of contract for officers who have attained 60 years. D, no replacement of staff who have exited the service through retirement, resignation, disciplinary action, and natural attrition, except those in essential services. The county froze employment since August 2022, except for the critical new government formation positions. The county government, that's F, the county government is currently conducting human resource audit with view of identifying issues and taking appropriate action. That's in November 2022 to January 2023. The county government G, the county public service board advertise for jobs in the local dailies, in the website. All applications received are shortlisted for interview without any discrimination as regards ethnicity. Although the response from the non-dominant community are still low, those that apply and meet minimum requirement are considered. H, the County Public Service Board, while making advertisement for the vacant position, has always encouraged people living with disabilities to apply. This is meant to increase the numbers of people living with disabilities joining the public service. This notwithstanding, the numbers are still very low.
Okay, Governor, before you go to question number 2, I think there were 2 areas where we didn't get the specificity that we expected. On number 1, the county has since terminated all staff working on casual basis. Do you have the numbers? And on F, the county is conducting HR audit. Do you have the timelines? And can you report whether this is still ongoing or it's been concluded? And who's undertaking it? Okay, Senator Nyonka.
Good morning, Governor. I'm happy to receive you at the Senate and the officers who are known to me, and some of them are my friends. You go to recommendation, question 1, recommendation 2. The county executive member of finance, with the approval of the county assembly, set the limit of the county government expenditure on wages. I wanted the HR manager or the minister for finance to tell us in real figures how much the salaries of all the workers of Kisii County is on a monthly basis.
Okay, are there any observations on question number 1 so that the governor can address and we move to number 2? Senator Methu.
Thank you, Governor, for your response. Maybe to tie my question to that has been asked by the chairman, as you tell us the specific number of casual workers whose contract was terminated. So what happens to the services that were being offered by the casual workers? because of course they were not just there; they were there doing something. Who is undertaking the same duties? Number two, on the issue on the response number B, mitigation number B, or mitigation strategy number B, the county suspended promotion of staff since January 2022 for a period of 18 months. I want to put it to you, Governor, is staff promotion a matter of right or favor? Because then if it is a matter of right, how do you suspend the promotion of anybody if they have attained or it is merited? If I'm supposed to be promoted within the 18 months, so what happens to me? Why would you deny me that kind of thing? Finally, on mitigation number G, you've spoken that the response from the non-dominant communities is still very low. If then, in the true spirit of the intent of tilting the balance, would you be in a position to tell us amongst your personal staff that you have, maybe 10 or 12 or whatever number, how many are from the less dominant community? Those ones do not require advertisement. It is you who is appointing them. How many did you appoint from the non-dominant communities?
Okay.
Chair, one small addendum.
Okay,
On one, Governor, you go to mitigation strategies to deal with auditor's recommendation down there on A. I wanted you, if you can, jot it somewhere, and I want you to describe for me, or maybe your human resource would come in here. What is the description of you, what somebody who is a casual laborer under the county government? What is the characterization of what a casual laborer is? The reason I'm raising this issue, Chair, is because there were workers who were released from county councils, there were workers who were released from the municipal councils, and during the period of the transition, they were brought in and lumped up with the other county workers. So I would like to know that, and Honorable Matthew has raised it, that how many were they, but I also wanted to ask the governor, when you made the decision that these people are going to be asked to go home permanently, did you pay them their outstanding monies, outstanding salaries, outstanding benefits, so that then they could go home? I think it's an important question. This.
Maybe just one small comment, Chairman.
You can have a final comment under that point.
It's actually I'm tying that last question that I asked, G and H, on the people that you have appointed from the non-dominant communities and the people that you have appointed from the people living with disabilities, especially those ones that do not need to go through a recruitment process. They are those that you just appoint directly, your advisors, your assistants, your chief of staff, such like.
Okay, proceed, Governor.
Chair, some of these questions, of course, will be answered. That's why I had come across with my human resource, and I would want him to respond on these ones. Duke?
Okay, they shall respond, but ultimately, as a CEO, you take full responsibility.
Precisely.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll try to answer the queries. Currently, the amount of money we pay as salary on a monthly basis is 418 million per month. Secondly, we have
418 million. 418 million.
Yes. Initially, we used to have 160 casual laborers, who included 8 from the former local authorities whose services were terminated in May 2022 because we were not able to sustain paying them because of the rising wage bill.
May 2022?
22, yes.
That was before the assumption of office of the current governor?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I can describe casual laborer, is is someone who is given labor for the day, which in most cases we pay at the end of the month because of disbursement of funds from the exchequer. Mostly they carry out cleaning duties. At the moment, this work is being done by cleaning groups, which we have employed. If I can talk about the ethnicity, it's true. The board, if the board was here, would agree with me that anytime we make advertisement, we use the popular media outlets, Daily Nation Standard, and then even our website, then we encourage people from all spheres of Kenya to make applications. But it's true, as in most counties, the responses are usually from the local community. So we'll continue.
You said if the county public service was here, what's the reason why they're not here, and yet we're discussing HR issues? I think you said if the county public service was here, that's why I've taken an interest.
They could just confirm that when they're
if they were here, why are they not here?
At the moment, only those ones who are invited to accompany the governor came.
Let me help.
Because you spoke as if they ought to have been here. You know, if you say if they were here, they would have.
Chairman, let me help my officer.
Yes,
the service board is not there at the moment. They have been impeached by the assembly. Therefore, they are not there as we are talking. Therefore, they could not be here. But his confirmation is if they were there, they will confirm on the advertisement they have been doing is on both print media and popular papers.
Could I?
Senator Onyonka?
Yes. Your Excellency Governor, it is true that the Public Service Board, through your intervention, was taken to the Assembly and removed from office. But you are also aware that there are court orders asking you to allow the Public Service Board to return to the office, receive the vehicles back, and run activities until the case has been heard and determined. I believe the law, therefore, requires that that board should have been here to deal with those issues because their matter has not been dealt with finality.
Governor?
Chair, I want to affirm my position that yes, I know the board is at home. They were removed by the assembly. The petitioner, I'm not the petitioner who took the petition to the assembly. Is an interested citizen who went to the assembly, petitioned, then on the grounds, a number of the grounds that were removed, they were removed. My only business is to get the communication from the assembly, which I did receive. Went ahead, I'd gazetted the same said board. Then they moved to court, a stay was put on the gazettement. But for the removal, already they had been removed by the assembly. There is no ruling of any court that they be returned and that I've refused to return them to office. Otherwise, if there is a ruling, all directives from the courts, therefore we'll definitely do that. A stay which has been given by the courts, and that's a matter active in court right now. It's a stay of the gazettement of the said board.
Okay.
Chair, Chair, I think it's important that
just a minute, Senator.
Information is given onto the Hansard.
Senator, maybe just for guidance.
Yes.
Because if we discuss a stay that has not been tabled before us, we'll be discussing the air. In fact, if we discuss an impeachment whose details we don't have, we'll be discussing air. So with that in mind, maybe as a local senator, you can guide us so that we are able to establish what the facts are But
Chair,
very carefully.
In 2 minutes, without going into
voice.
the sub judice rule, very simply, there were 2 orders given. One is for the initial interpretation of the order where the Public Service Board made a request to the court that any activity or any eventuality that may have come from the county assembly be stopped. And then after that, they are given the status quo until the matter is heard and determined. What that means, Chair, my recommendation right now, and I think that is a decision we can make as the Senate, is that there may come a time when we are actually going to call the Public Service Board to come and raise those issues, because from the court order which is available, which I've seen privately, but it can be tabled, basically the Public Service Board is working and is meant to work until the case is determined to its eventuality.
Senator Dulo?
Chair, I think Senator for Kisii has asked what I wanted to ask. But I think for this committee, it's important to look at those documents, the court orders, the petition, and all that, so that we can be able to make a decision. But again, my second question is to the HR in his explanation of who are the casuals. Yeah. So when he says that casuals are employees who are hired and paid on daily basis, I just want to know the ones for Kisii. Are they hired by the county? Because I know the law is very clear. You have to hire casuals for 3 months, and then thereafter, you release them, and then you can reappoint them. But you know, counties, they have become very clever. Some of them, they put them under contract of a contractor, and then they pay them. But there are some that actually we have recommended, instead of putting them on a casual basis for a very long time, they should be given contract. So maybe I want to understand what is the position of the casuals in Kisii County. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Governor.
Before he answers.
Are there related supplementary questions?
As he answer, I would want to get to understand from him whether in his response you said that the casuals that were fired were doing cleaning work, and you have now hired cleaning groups to do the work. Is that the response that you gave?
Yes.
That you sent away casual laborers and instead hired cleaning groups?
What I meant, in addition to the casuals, we've been having cleaning groups. So once the casuals were sent home...
are those ones still casuals, the cleaning group?
No, these are just groups contracted
groups.
To have a cleaning.
Because you know why I'm very interested. I mean, the casual laborers are just the local people from Kisii. So if you are sending them away to manage your wage bill, but then spend an equivalent in hiring cleaning groups, so really, what is the sense?
Chair, what I said. In addition to the casual laborers, casual workers we've been having, we've also been having cleaning groups. So we thought it was a duplication and it was eating into our funds. So we did away with the casuals and retained the cleaning groups.
So are you saying that the casuals were not doing anything because anyway the cleaning groups were there? If the cleaning was being done by the cleaning groups, why did you need the casuals in the first place?
Cleaning groups, they are cheaper. They are doing the cleaning of town. Casuals could clean offices, cut grass, do some manual labor.
Chair. Yeah, can we, as we progress, just make sure we broaden this conversation beyond we look at the forest and not the tree.
Yes.
Senator Dulo?
My question is not answered. And number two, I wanted to know what is the number of the cleaners. You said the casuals are 4? 4,000 what?
No, 160.
160.
They were 160 before
Yeah,
we
so
terminated them.
what about the cleaners? Are they the equivalent number or they are less than that?
No, these are groups. These are groups. Actually, I might not have the numbers because we contracted groups to clean the town for us.
By groups, sorry, through the chair and through Your Excellency the Governor. By groups, do you mean registered cleaning companies, business entities, or are they these women's groups or youth groups or what? What groups are meant?
Can I just help you there?
Yes, Governor.
Because again, as he mentioned, that around May, they must have sent away the casuals. Remained with the groups, cleaning groups, which they are around 22, because there are 9 sub-counties. Kisii municipality alone, it has 8 zones, therefore it's around 20. And they were there with the casuals. The question the senator has just asked, indeed, even the casuals were idle. I think they were idle. Again, then the administration saw it wise to send the casuals away, remain with the contracted groups, CBOs. I think that question could be answered.
Chair, could I just... I wanted to ask the HR director, am I right to say that these casual workers who are working in the Kisii County as government after the Kisii County Council, that many of these individuals actually had worked within the county and the municipal system for more than 10 years non-stop? And this is the question I asked you. These people who worked for 10 years and they never got their retirement benefits, they were never stopped anywhere in the middle. They were just, a decision was made and they were told to go home. Did these people get compensated for the years they had worked? Because you know what the law says.
Thank you, Chair. It's true, some of the casual workers had worked for more than 10 years, together with others who had worked for maybe 1 or 2 years. When their terms, their work was terminated, they were not, they were just paid their dues up to the time of termination of their contracts. So they were not paid any additional benefits, no, sir.
Could I, members, propose, because there are 2 things we haven't dealt with, but they are substantive issues. Whether there's been a special audit, I think that's issue number 3, so we can defy it to that point. And the costs and ratios of personnel emoluments is also a substantive issue.
But
so
the issue on promotions has not been
okay,
spoken.
so we'll deal with the issue of promotions, and then afterwards we proceed to issue number 2. I think the question was, if you stop promotions, and yet it is a right of validly employed staff, what happens to their right to get promotion?
Chair, what we did in the promotion, and then want to repeat on the issues of my predecessor, is that these people were put, all the exercises put on hold, because there was a discovery again, the way promotion were being carried out. Were abasad, they were not following the law. That's the reason. But again, it was put on hold. It's not that it was suspended completely. Chair, the law requires that these people, those who are working, is entitled in the law for promotion.
Okay, we shall be making directions at the end of this conversation. Senator Matthew, just a minute,
okay,
please.
Sorry.
We shall be giving directions, and just take note of the kind of recommendations you'd want us to make, because at the end of the day, if someone was recruited and is in the employment of Kisii County government, they should not suffer because of some 160 casual somewhere, or because of a transition between one governor or the other, or because of the disputes between the county assembly and the county public service board. If you have a doctor who's due for promotion, that promotion is a right, not a privilege. And I don't think that the governor should trample on that right, which is statutory and constitutional. So maybe in our final resolutions, we'll be making certain proposals for your consideration.
Right.
Members, because we still have a number of pages, can we agree to proceed? Issue number 2.
The issue number 2, Chair, is about the human resource audit. Again, is the question I'm sure we'll be answering in the subsequent question the Senate sent to us. Therefore, if you allow, we'll answer it then. Yes. That is it, Chair. We go to the second question also.
Yeah, let's proceed to question number 2.
Right.
There's a little bit of disturbance. Sounds like a cat is running around. Did anyone come to this meeting with a pet?
Chair, the Senate term is dealing with that issue shortly.
Okay, yeah. Let's proceed to Governor Arati.
Chair, on question number 2, the quantum of end losses arising from allegation of payment fraud as flagged by the Auditor General since financial year 2013 to 2014. Our response, there were no payroll fraud flagged by the Auditor General during this period, Chair. There weren't. Question number 3, Chair, whether the county carried out any special audit of its payroll, and if so, what the recommendation arising from the audit. Audits were and the status of implementation of the recommendation. The management response, at the time of writing this letter, Chair, special human resource audit was going on. The findings of the exercise would form the basis of management decision of the new government regards to human resources. 2.
Point of order, Chair.
Senator Cherokee.
Yes.
In one of your answers, Governor Arati, you have said the county government is currently conducting human resource audit with a view of identifying issues and taking appropriate action. That is in November 2022 to January 2023. You are saying in question number 3, at the time of writing this letter, special audit resource was going on. So which is the correct answer? I thought it was concluded in January 2023.
Thank you, Chair. This question will be answered again in the subsequent question on the progress of that audit.
But be careful, Governor. Every question will be answered in the next answer.
Chair, if it will not be answered, you will definitely take me back.
Okay, I think this letter is dated 9th of January.
9th January.
But there were some supplementary questions which we'll probably deal with to see what transpired since then.
Yes.
The other point, yes, the other point that I wanted Honorable Cherargei to get, the first audit was done when Governor Ngwai was in office. The second one is being done after Governor Simba comes into office.
But this is November 2022. I thought we had
that is the second one.
Was there were late elections in Kisii?
No, that is the second audit.
Chair, again, I want to say that the first report, I don't know where it is.
Okay.
Unless anybody else knows where it is, he can be able to bring it. Okay. But the one that I could be authentically carry is the one which I've carried out. Okay. That's the one which is recorded again.
Honorable Chair, could I please come here? Governor has just given us an answer. The quantum of any losses arising from allegations of payroll fraud as flagged by the Auditor General since financial year 2013-2014 shows that there were no payroll frauds. Where did you get the answer from if you're saying there were no payroll fraud and you're saying you didn't see this report?
Okay, so that's back to question number 2. Yes, Governor.
Chair. If you read carefully there, Chair, there were no payroll fraud flagged by the Auditor General. Chair, that's what I said.
But there was an audit.
Audit by the Auditor General, yes. But there were no audit fraud detected by themselves.
Can Smiley confirm that?
Okay. Auditor General, were there specific issues raised by the Auditor General? Quantifiable? Beyond the policy issues?
Yes, Chair. there were a number of issues we had raised, which pointed out to red flags of payroll manipulation. One of the issues was shared payroll numbers. The other issue was shared ID numbers, tax and bank accounts. Therefore, that triggered that there is a problem. And that's why we had recommended for a payroll audit then.
Okay. I think, Governor, you did very well in summarizing the policy recommendations under number 1. Number 2, if there was no payroll fraud, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be having this conversation. Indeed, the Auditor General has those specific recommendations that point to payroll fraud. And I don't think that it would be admissible that there was no payroll fraud flagged by the OAG. They are present. They've cited the specific instances. But members, you don't need to, it's not a big matter for debate, because subsequent questions should help us understand what the government is doing to close those risks and gaps identified by the Office of the Auditor General. So unless there's information or a question on number 2, we can move to number 3. Okay.
Again, Chair, for us, just the question that Honorable Nyonka asked, it's that it could be answered in question number 3.
Okay, so let's deal with it. Let's go back to where we were before the intervention by Senator Cherarkei.
Whether the county carried out any special audit of its payroll, and if so, what the recommendation arising from the auditors were and the status of implementation of the recommendations. Management, 1. Of course, I've just read that number 1. Number 2, the National Treasury. Now that's where the question of the Auditor General comes in, that the National Treasury carried out a special audit of the payroll for the national and the county governments, covering the period of January 2016 and the 30th September 2021. The audit was aimed at assessing adherence to financial and administrative procedure in conformity with the rules and regulations, as well as compliance with its internal control system. The raw payroll data used for the audit was obtained from the State Department for Public Service, IPPD section. The recommendation from the review of the payroll of the county government of Kisii were: A, the county to take administrative action against employees who were drawing salaries from both national and the county government. B, investigate and act on cases of employees sharing personal details such as payroll numbers, national identification card, tax pins, and bank accounts. C, investigate and act on cases of employees whose birth dates were amended. D, investigate and act on cases of unauthorized person and employees editing their own records. E, conduct regular payroll cleansing. F, undertake monthly payroll audit before processing the payroll. And G, strengthening access control and management of password to guard the payroll from non-designated users. Attached in the Annex 1, a copy of the letter from the Ministry of Public Service communicating the findings of special payroll audit and recommendation for the action. Is there Annex 1A is there. This is the communication, and it shows the exact numbers of what I've read out, Chair. B, response of the county government to the various issues raised by special audit of the payroll. Now that's if you check B, that's where my government must have responded to all issues raised by the Auditor General, Chair. That's,
so the special audit was carried out
for the period 1st January 2016 and 30th September 2021. When was the audit carried out? So that's a period of audit. But what's the actual date of the audit?
No, this is a report by the National Treasury, which carried out that audit again.
I'm struggling to because Annex 1A is to the County Secretary, County Government of Kisii. It's dated 1st September 2022.
On the findings of the audit they carried out 2016 to 30th September 2021.
Even though, Governor, you just mentioned that if there was another audit, you are not aware of it. But now we have a letter here that points to an audit.
On specifics.
Yes.
Yes, of these sharing. One sharing of IDs, bank accounts, same.
And if indeed these were the findings, how would you then say there was no payroll fraud? If you have 24 cases of shared bank accounts, 92 cases of officers with the same ID numbers.
192.
192 cases. 1,029 cases of duplicated arrears payment.
You see,
isn't that what you define as payroll fraud?
This is an audit query, which response was given again to Treasury, which in Annex B. 1B.
Annex
1B. So there's that response which my people give out.
So in Annex 1B, you have disputed those revelations by the National Treasury?
That is it.
All of them have been disputed? Which would then mean that there is no problem in Kisii? There's no payroll problem?
There is a big payroll problem. And I want to, because by the time of, again, I want to state clearly here, there is a big problem, which again we are addressing in the subsequent, the follow-up question that you raised.
Where's the letter, the specific letter responding to Treasury? I'm seeing annexures. Is there one letter that, a cover letter that summarizes the response?
1B.
Because 1B starts from shared bank account, goes to employees with IPPD issues. Do you have a letter that consolidates your response?
Yes, sir. Chair, this was an audit which we responded to very comprehensively to the right office. That was around September,
The question,
December.
Duke,
Yes.
is, you know, as a Senate, we cannot look at all these things in the 1 hour that we have. So, in response to the National Treasury that had pointed out several instances of what is payroll fraud, is there a forwarding letter to all these annexures, which we can look at and get the comfort that the county government addressed the issues raised by Treasury? Or must we read through all these 400 pages?
Maybe to make it easy, an easier question, Your Excellency Governor, is there anything that ties this annexure to the questions that have been raised by Treasury?
I think that was an oversight from my team. There should actually that question that Chair is asking is there a summary of what is in that file? I don't think there
is there anything that shows that these were given to as answers to this?
That's the question.
Not in hard copy. Not in hard copy, sir. But
did you deliver them, or what are you saying?
Okay, so if you don't have them, then you don't have them.
Yeah.
And if you don't have them, then your answer to question number 2 cannot be the way it is. Because the National Treasury has flagged instances of duplications in the payroll. And if you don't have that summarized response to the National Treasury, then we cannot, as a Senate, agree with you that you dealt with all the issues.
Senator Chirake.
I think, Governor, you should have, when an audit has been raised, for example, and Kisii, before you came, you must have been the county of wonders. Because I can see you are born and work in Kisii. 5 cases of engagement of underage persons. So you should have highlighted, and these, the underage persons they are saying, they don't exist, and forwarded to the same under the County Public Service Board. You have 4,058 cases of undeducted taxes on arrears payment, which means this is statutory deduction. So the question should be, the statutory deductions was deducted but was not remitted to the relevant entities within government. So, and where is that it should have been, if it was remitted or not, then when it comes to Annex 1B, it should have been easy to show. If it was not remitted, it becomes a serious audit query where money has been taken 4,058. And Governor, as we are aware of Article 2265 of the Constitution, if there was personal culpability before you came office, then that individual officer, including your predecessor, would be held to accountable. So what you should have done to the committee, tell us if this money cannot be seen, for example, statutory deduction, then you tell us it was not remitted, for example. If they were underage children that were engaged, and this, of course, violation of the Children's Act, they were engaged or they were not, and whether Children's Services was involved in handling this issue. So I think, Governor, looking at Annex B through you, Chair, there is still, we don't know. When you say number 4, same tax, different payroll number, what does it mean? You have given us a copy of KRA, a printout of KRA, and which is, of course, in my own opinion, is not authenticated, because there should be a stamp to show that it was received or validated so that it becomes. So I think, respectfully, Chair, this provision of Annex 1B should be relooked again so that it answers what the critical questions that the Treasury has raised. And therefore it goes back to the question whether there was fraud in terms of provision of human resource between 2013 and 2014, which you were not there. You were somewhere here in Nairobi, up to now 2021, 2022, or thereabout. So I think what you can do, unless, Chair, in conclusion, I've heard Governor saying he's not aware of some of the documents, then you must have your county secretary write to the committee whether non-provision of documents or your predecessor, so that we see as a committee how we can proceed from there. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yeah. Senator Onyunka.
Chair, thank you. I wanted to ask this question to the county secretary because it falls under your purview. If you look at Annex 1A, this one you could share between you and the HR boss. If you look at Annex 1A, 24 cases of shared bank accounts, 192 cases officers with IDs, 4 cases with payroll numbers but different ID numbers. You have been in government now for how long? Over 25 years.
Yes.
And were you in the previous administration, or you also came when governor came in? Yes.
I was there, sir.
You were there, thank you.
The question applies to both officers?
Yes. The question I'm asking is, the governor came in, he was sworn in the governor, you were appointed as the county secretary, he was there as a human resource boss. What did you advise the governor to do with all these issues raised here? Did you report to the DCI, the individuals who were supposed to be arrested? If the crime was broken, did you write correspondence to the institutions that are meant to manage such activity?
Thank you, Chair. Of course, with the permission of our governor, the response to this letter from National Treasury is there. I have been told, it's been confirmed that the response is there. That it's on soft copy, only that the Director Human Resource did not bring it along. So, Chair, this response...
County Sec, you know there's nothing you can do. Now we cannot accept it.
Thank you.
Because you were asked officially to hand over documents to this committee, and you didn't. So for now, I believe without overruling the chair, I think I will allow chair to make that ruling.
You want to? Is there something you want to add?
Chair, just to confirm that the responses to all these queries we responded to this letter. We gave evidence. It's only that the document was so voluminous. We could not be able to print hard copies. But the response is there. We exonerated the county from all this.
So, if you exonerated the county from all this, what is this problem that Governor Simba is trying to fix? Because what you're saying is the National Treasury carried out an audit, identified all these issues, and you guys responded and sorted out all those issues. Why are you wasting public funds in another audit if there's no problem?
What is the audit for?
Governor, what is the problem? You are saying there was no payroll fraud. You are saying the National Treasury carried out an audit. Your officer said they responded to all those issues and there was no problem. So what is this problem that Governor Simba is trying to fix in Kisii?
Chair. Chair, to be told is that, again, I think is a way of doing things before. Again, where an audit is raised, then my officers responded as they wanted. Even that response to the Auditor General is it was only to cure their problem. But indeed, there is that problem. These, even including double payments is there. And that's exactly what we are doing. That's the problem we want to fix. Chair, in the audit which has been carried out, again with KRA, there is clear double payment. Not necessarily from the county, but people working in the county, again, working elsewhere. Therefore, submission to KRA, there are two taxes paid from different employers.
Governor, let me just stop you. Having looked at the County Governments Act, the head of the County Public Service is a county secretary.
Yes, we see.
And then you have the County Public Service Board, which acts on behalf of the county government. If there was misrepresentation of facts, then two persons must be held to account: the Chief Executive Officer and the head of the County Public Service. The reason why we are here is because we are made to understand that there is a HR problem in Kisii County. If, as a result of this audit, someone wrote back and said there is no problem in Kisii County, we need to know who that person is. And we need to take them to account. And they need to be held to account for the subsequent expenditure that is being incurred on an audit that is going on. So maybe the reason why we don't have that letter that I was asking for is because your team does not want us to know who is it who cleared the audit issues by the National Treasury.
Chair, the response to the Auditor General, again, I would have expected that this question, because if there was an answer again from the Auditor General, because they have not gotten an answer against the audit they had carried out, therefore we'll be in the position to say, indeed, what is there, this is it. But in the attachment, I don't know, this, if you can see this one in your file, is written A. Where did you plug it from?
What is
Annex
it?
2A. Chair, you get the people again. It's good that they're bringing them out. The shared bank account affects officers whose salaries are paid to force account of the following circles. Then those officers, they have been enlisted there, Chair. Same payroll numbers. I think this is the response again they must have given out. It's in the 2A. You'll get the names there. And the responses there in.
Governor, I want to allow my members to come in, but what we must agree on, your answer number 2 says there's no problem, there's no payroll fraud.
Yes.
Your answer number 3, We've got a treasury audit that says there's payroll fraud. And you have said that you have responded to those issues comprehensively. What we must agree on, without taking too much time, is there a problem that occasioned your second audit? Or is it your position that the first audit unveiled all issues and they were sorted out? That's what we must agree on, because you can't speak from both sides of the mouth. You can't say number 2 that there's no problem, and then in explaining number 3, you go ahead to describe a problem outside your written response. I don't know whether I'm the only one who's getting a bit confused. But let me ask Senator Omar, Senator Dulo, Senator Omtata, then we come to Senator Nyonka.
Chair.
Senator Methu.
Chair, the response of Governor, number 2, in Annex A, there is these reports done by Treasury with so many reports to be audit queries. If you go to respond A, county to take administrative action against the employees who are drawing salaries from both national and county governments. In B, there is because governor wanted to investigate on the employees sharing numbers. C, investigating the cases of employees who are birth dates are the same. Unauthorized personal employees conducting regular, because these cases he wanted to investigate is exactly what is in Treasury reports. So, Chair, I don't know if you agree with me, because the audit, human resource audit, is doing it on which is carried out on November 2022 to January 2023, is invalid. It's supposed to, that is in misappropriation of money, because what you're doing is redundancy of what has been done by Treasury. So maybe you can explain it more, because exactly what is in the report of Treasury is the same as what is wanted to investigate, also the same. So maybe you can explain on that.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that also is a feeling I had. Senator Dulo?
Chair, I had a similar feeling. And I remember very well when Governor Arati came into the office. He paraded all the vehicles and drivers and showed the whole world there is something happening here that is wrong. Looking at the number 2 that he has responded, it looks like all is well. And again, you are telling us it's not. So this clearly shows there is a lot of contradiction as far as human resource issues are concerned. And I think this requires a very serious intervention for you to deal with this matter, so that we can be able to work actually and deliver on the mandates of your office that is given to you by your electorate. So, Chair, what I want to ask Governor Arati, what is your solution to this? Because it looks like you're also swallowed by the confusion that was there. And it seems you don't have a way forward. So can you tell us what is the way forward on this matter? And I think if this continues, then you're going to be in problems as far as we are concerned. I thank you.
Senator Omtata?
Your Excellency, I just would like to know, in the second audit that's is purportedly ongoing, is it being conducted by a private firm? And if so, how was the firm recruited? Was it through competitive recruitment? And number 2, given the mandate of the EACC under Chapter 6, and especially Article 79, which clearly says it enforces Chapter 6. And these are issues under Chapter 6. Is the EACC involved in the ongoing audit, or is it just being done by the county government? Following to that, your officer has told us that you have got a very good response, but it's too voluminous to bring here. I don't understand what he meant by that. And if we can't see that report, how are we supposed to audit the county? And how can an audit report be too voluminous to be brought here? Or is there something you're hiding from us that you want to refer to a document, yet you are not willing to produce that document before us for us to verify what you are saying? That's all, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Mtata. And I think as a response, they should take note that what we are requesting for is not the details, but the summary. The summary can never be too bulky. Senator Onyonka.
Thank you, Chair. I still go back to the HR Director and the County Secretary. And Sumaili, sorry, I know you are having your coffee. When normally an audit is done, like the second audit which was done in Kisii County, I would want you to explain to this committee how it is done, who should be involved, and what should be done for that report to be legitimate.
Senator Methu.
Thank you, Governor. In my own opinion, if you really want us to move forward, you have to choose which side to play for. You have to either be on the side that says that all these issues have been addressed, or these issues have not been addressed. Because from this letter of 1st September, a total of 18 issues were flagged. We've been asking for the forwarding letter so that we see, it is in this response that they are supposed to say this issue was responded this way, this issue was responded this way, so that we're able to move. But my question is this: if then you stick to the answer that has been given that the issues were addressed, what was the purpose of the audit that is happening now? Why would you then need another audit if all the issues, if all is well? Why do you need an audit? And my final comment, I don't know whether I listened to Senator Fatuma very well. If Mr. Chairman, you would permit that I make reference to the utterances that were made by the governor when he was, I think, commissioning the whole audit at the Kisii Stadium, that they are, ghost workers. Where did you get that information of the ghost workers? Where did you get the strength to say that their drivers do not have cars? Was it a preliminary observation, or is something that you already knew?
Okay. So finally, Senator Mwendakata.
Thank you, Chair. I would want to know from my friend Governor Arati. I have a lot of admiration for you, although we don't know each other. But I want to know, away from the audits and the counter audits, because there are quite a number of audits that have been carried pressure, USCC, you and all these things. What is your personal view on Kisii employees workforce? What is your personal view, away from these reports and all these things?
Thank you. Governor Arati. Quite a number of issues, many of them are interrelated.
Yeah, Chair.
Yeah. Proceed.
Allow me to say this, and I want to start with your deputy what he said. I want to state clearly how things are. Forget of anything else. Things are not good. That's the truth of the matter. Given that even the Treasury and Public Service Board, Public Service Commission audit which was carried out, this is just a bit of the whole problem. Because if you check, they only say the 24 cases shared bank accounts, 192 cases of officers with the same identification cards. All those things, they are only one bit of the big problem. Number two, I want just to answer Senator here, is that the reason for us to have the second audit is the fact of findings that indeed we found out in the stadium which prompted us to realize there were people who were not working. And again, Chair, in the follow-up questions that you send to the county, this issue will be addressed there. Because Senator Mtata has just asked how that thing was procured and everything. It's there. There is a response for it. We'll get there. What I wanted to answer first of all is what is here from the Public Service Commission through Treasury, that indeed these cases, they are as they are. The responses in here, I'm sure, yes, some of them, when I was looking at them, it's only that they had been forwarded to you and I could not table another report. Some, they are not correct.
Okay, so if there's a response that you feel should not be before the Senate,
yes,
just point it out so that we expunge it. Because the response to number 2 cannot go on record unchallenged. If the response to number 2 is as you have stated, then the conversation will shift to grilling you why you are wasting public funds to duplicate an exercise that has been done and concluded.
Chair, what I have for number 2, and I want to state that the quantum of end losses arising from the allegations of payment fraud as flagged out by the Auditor General since financial year 2013-2014. Payroll fraud shall form part of the terms of reference in the human resource audit being conducted in paragraph 1A, Chair.
So are you withdrawing your response? I think it's safer that way.
Yes.
That you withdraw that response.
Yes.
Because if we take it as it is, then it means there's no problem. Are you maintaining your? Are you withdrawing your response on number 2? That can help us to move to the next issues.
Yes, Chair, and that number 2 will be addressed at 1E.
Okay, honorable members, we try to make progress. Senator Onyonka.
The issue, Your Excellency Governor, I'm raising is I hope you really help me understand this and the people of Kisii County. The National Treasury sent you a report. Actually, to be fair to you, before you had become in, I think it was the time you were just sworn in as a governor, or it could have come out at the time when the elections are nearly going to end. You get this report. It makes recommendations and shows you where the money is being stolen, who is stealing the allowances, who has been employed unfairly, it's all, there are 14 items. All right, and I'm going to quote here, Annex 1A, everything is listed. There are about 15, there are 18. All right, people who are supposed to be offered cases above the mandatory retirement age, there are 3 cases. It goes on. The trouble I'm having, Your Excellency, is this. Nothing has been done for 9 months as you've been governor, other than you making a recommendation to do another audit. Now, why didn't you implement the audit that was raised by the Treasury and finish with it? And then if you found there were challenges, you now proceed with your audit if that was necessary. The question becomes, why did you find it necessary that all these things which have been raised here were not good enough? Nothing was done. There's no forwarding letter. Nothing went to DCI. Nothing went to ESCC. Nobody has been held culpable as we speak right now. And then you shelved everything about this report, and then you started your own report. I want to know what difference the report that you have has brought when I do not know what actually happened with the first report which the government had handed over to you, that these are the things we needed to do. And before, Your Excellency Chairman, before the governor answers, I would want Sumaili to say what needs to be done when an audit report is being conducted on HR.
I see some interventions, but maybe we just need to deal with that specific matter. Is it related? Senator Mad, then Senator Mtata.
It's related. Chair, maybe if we start, Governor, when you receive a report from Treasury, maybe you can explain shortly. Is there any action you did? Because if we say no, is these people still getting money? Because these 23 people, bank sharing, IDs, are they still receiving the salaries up to now? Is there any action you take?
Senator Mtata, you had a related
Yes.
intervention.
I just wanted to, following Senator Nyonka's intervention, I would like His Excellency to clarify whether there is any formal rejection of the report from the Treasury, whether there was any formal rejection by himself or any of his officers that the report was incompetent and he needed to keep a clean record, because Kisii County is a public institution of record. Governments come and go, office holders come and go. So how did he ensure he kept a clean record in terms of that report? Did he ask for it to be expunged? Did he contest aspects of it? Or did he just ignore it and say, I'll do my own thing since I'm now the new occupant of this seat? And then on top of that, your officer has been adamant that they responded and the county was cleared. Because there's a very big divide between the governor and the officer. And the officer having come from the old administration. Is there any baggage you are bringing on board? Is there any cover-up that you are involved in if you are governor and you are not reading from the same page? So I would just like clarification along those lines.
Okay. Sumali, there was a specific request. You can deal with it in a minute on the procedure that the county should take. Then we go back to the governor.
Thank you. The first audit which was carried and brought in these issues was financial audit. The second audit we were requiring them to do in-depth was a forensic audit on HR, because it was specific on the areas we had also enlisted. The second audit which was carried by the National Treasury was a compliance audit to see whether procedures and processes are in place. The third audit in question is an audit whose terms I'm not clear to, but the procedure of audit, Chair, is that the first thing is you come with terms of reference, then you must also have an engagement. Then after the engagement, you must generate a report. Then once you have a report, there must be timelines in which to act on the reports. Therefore, I was expecting the compliance audit, which was done by the National Treasury, which was also supporting the issues we had raised, to have an action time, because we had said specific people, 24 people sharing bank accounts. You go case by case. This is the issue. Reply and have evidence, because about record, Chair. Therefore, that was not also done. Then, when you are talking about HR, I had analysis, a lengthy analysis about the HR audit, Chair, and it is clear that there is a problem. There is a bigger problem in HR in totality. Therefore, there is a need by the end of the period to have an HR audit carried out by the firms as required, because this is a procurement issue. If you are to get somebody away from Office of the Auditor General, ESCC, DCI, then it is a different engagement which follows the whole cycle of procurement and is a cost implication. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Governor?
Chair, again, I want to say this, that this year there is a report from the Auditor General on these issues. There was no report. They have given us to respond on this audit. And this called for the audit that now we are talking about, which we have not, actually have not given details because we're going to answer it. Therefore, we had to ascertain, indeed, if this report is true. But again, the response which was given back to the Auditor General by the officer who was in office, I'm sure, without missing my words, must have wanted to really to clear themselves in this. That indeed, there was no there was no problem. And the response therein then, it was given to the Auditor General. The main report is not there in the county, other than this letter itself, of the findings of the audit itself from 2016 to 30th December 20, there's something here we read, 2021. Yes.
The report is not the...
It's not there, Chair.
It's not there.
It's not there. What we are given is this letter, and again, the only way to go about it is to institute the audit that now
even though, Governor, if the report is not there, I think the responsible thing to do before you do a fresh engagement is to write to the entity which exists in perpetuity. That is the National Treasury that conducted this audit, to give you a copy of that audit report. And then you use that as a basis for a fresh audit. You know where we are, and I'm trying to ask myself what problem we are dealing with right now. Is Governor Arati doing the wrong thing, or is Governor Arati doing the right thing? And if he's doing the right thing, is he doing it in the wrong way? Or is he doing the right thing in the manner in which it should be done? And I think if you are doing the wrong thing, it is our duty to stop you, to rebuke you, and to pronounce ourselves as a Senate. If you are doing the right thing in the right way, is to encourage you. If you are doing the right thing in the wrong way, then we must also stop you and advise you accordingly. But when you keep saying there was that audit that was done and you don't have a copy of it, and yet you can get a copy of it from Treasury, so you did another audit, I'm beginning to think that you're doing the right thing in the wrong way.
Chairman, if you allow me, if there is an audit query, what usually is done is that there is the response. The team from the county responds on those audit queries which have been raised here. But terms of reference for the new audit, they are completely different. Actually, this could be only one component among the terms of reference.
Okay.
And Chair,
yes.
again, it's that when we are carrying out this audit, there is no law which has been broken. We have followed, and I'm happy that he did say there is procurement issues and everything which has been followed to the letter.
Let me allow Senator Matthew to come in, but relax, Governor. You are right in the field. You are a player. You are the striker for Kisii County FC. When you are playing, sometimes you don't see the faults. You don't see, the issues. Allow us as a Senate to share this conversation with you so that at the end, we can tell you whether you're doing the right thing wrongly or you're doing the wrong thing from the onset. Senator Matthew.
My ear caught up something the governor said, that maybe whoever did the response wanted to absolve himself from blame. That was the response that you gave. And I'm now very interested to know, for how long has the Director of Human Resources been there?
Since 2013.
So the person that you say wanted to absolve himself from blame is the person that is here?
No, not him, Chair. You know very well it's not the one to respond on this, is the Finance Minister, who is no longer there.
No. What's the duty of the Director of Human Resources?
To guide again on issues of matter of HR, to guide the officer who is been asked those questions again.
No. The Director HR must be having some duty to ensure prudent management of human resources. HR is a resource. Just like the way Director, Head of Treasury, has a responsibility for management of financial resources. If your Director HR is here and has been in office since 2013, and you are saying that there was payroll fraud since 2018, and there was payroll fraud during that period as flagged by the Auditor General, and that there are some records that should have been in the possession of the county which do not exist, and that there could have been some people who are trying to absolve themselves. Who else can fingers point to, if not the director HR and the then county secretary and the then governor? Why should we be sitting here to listen to someone on whom you have doubts as to his integrity?
Chair, as you just indicated, the officers are perpetual. Again, we stand in for the mistakes these people did. And we're answering the mistakes indeed. Even when I'm just trying to...
Governor, let me stop you. If you have an officer in your panel and the one you are asking to respond to questions, and you have already said you are responding to the mistakes they did, what kind of show is this? When the person who has done the mistake is there, trying to explain or trying to cover up their mistakes. Could you then tell us the administrative action you have taken as a chief executive officer in light of this? Because you cannot be working with someone who's the cause of the problem that we are trying to solve.
And he has placed him in a very key...
Senator Methu.
He has actually placed him in a very key... in the context of the football team that you said. He has given him a very key role as a midfielder. He's playing number 6 in terms of responses that... he's the only one who has been speaking. Because, Governor, there must have been, and even as you say that you are taking responsibility for those ones who have left, you cannot really say that there is nothing, this thing has nothing to do with the director of human resource. If you say that whoever gave that response wanted to absolve himself from blame, you cannot absolve the director of human resource. There is no way he can be able to, you can say that he was a governor, he was a county secretary, and not the director of human resource. No.
Order, Senator Omar, Mariam.
Chair, I heard Governor saying he has not got reports from Treasury, but he's a chair. If I have heard him right, he's saying there's a bulky report. He cannot come it with it. The second one is my question has not been answered on if still your payroll, this guy of double account is still there. Any action you have taken? Because the report from Treasury is saying there are so many flags of payroll fraud. Any action?
Okay, Governor. I'd hoped this meeting would end by midday, but it will move fast if you are candid. And where things are bad, just say it as it is. I don't think it is in your interest to cover up for people who are there when you are in Nairobi.
Chair, the owner of the donkeys here, especially issues of HR, and indeed to some extent, he has to carry his cross, rightfully. But I want to state that yes, investigation is going on the question that you have just asked the senator to ascertain, and that is the reason to have this the so-called, is it third audit? If indeed there is a third audit that we are undertaking. Therefore, for this one, I would want the director human resource indeed to state to the Senate if he participated in the response which was done by the minister then of finance.
I'm happy, through your chairman, that finally Governor is now able to speak like an elder of the SDA Church, because I hear you are an elder, so elders speak the truth. You seem now to be heading that direction.
Let me not say anything about that.
Yeah, I know from Homa Bay County is the chairman of the SDA Church fraternity in the choir. Chair, could you please allow me to raise this issue? Director, I'm also backed with you. I wanted to ask you only 2 questions. You have been with Governor since he was elected and he was sworn in as a governor. You've been there with him? Yes. You were there when Governor would stand at the stadium and say there are 1,200 ghost workers in the Kisii County government. See what there?
Yes, I was there.
From this report, are there 1,200 ghost workers in this report?
Chairman,
Senator Dulo?
let me take the word of Governor. He said the whole mess that Kisii County has found itself in. The owner is here.
I didn't say that.
No,
the owner,
even if you say no, he's a HR person.
Yes.
You can't exonerate him from all those allegations, Governor. Because as HR, if there are irregularities, illegalities, you must point out. You can't just sit there and say that is the role of CEC Finance. My question to you is, have you ever asked your HR to explain the mess you have currently in Kisii County?
Before Madam Dulo came, it's a wonderful question. I am Chair, as the Senator of Kisii County, when on national TV, and I believe the Governor, Honorable Simba, may not have zeroed in on this issue because you see his Director of HR is here and he was there before Governor Arati became the Governor. I want the gentleman sitting in front here, and he comes from the Kisii community, when you announce on national TV that Kisii County government has 1,200 ghost workers, and all of them have been fraudulently taking money from the county government. It means Governor must have got this report from you. Is that your true position? Does Kisii County government have ghost workers who are 1,200? And maybe you could start by answering us whether you understand what a ghost worker is.
Okay. Governor, you and your team need to give us quick, candid answers so that we move fast.
Again, issues of ghost workers and everything. It's being answered in the next question. Let us not jump the gun. We'll get there.
No, I think when a question is put, if it has been answered somewhere, feel free to refer us to it.
Right.
So that we just deal with it there and then. But before you go there, there are 4 people who must carry the blame on any HR problems in a county. The first is a chief executive officer. The second is a county secretary. The third is a county public service board. And the fourth at a functional level is a director for human resource. You have a new CEO. Do you have a new county secretary? You don't have a county public service board, but you've got the old HR director. Part of the mess. If you're going to blame the outgoing governor, the HR director must be part of that mess. Unless in Kisii, there are good employees and bad employees on the basis of the political decisions they made in the last election. There is no reason we can discuss the conduct, the HR management conduct of the former government when the HR director of that government is sitting before us. So unless there's evidence that you have in writing taken administrative action, Governor, would we be right to say that you are covering up for the HR director while heaping all the blame on those who have left office?
Chair, again, I want to reiterate that the person, yes, to some extent, who will carry the burden is the HR director. Of course, you have pointed out the service board, the chief executive officer, and the county secretary. Of course, I understand that could be the problem. That is where the big problem could be. But again, Chair, I have a responsibility as a governor who has come in not to do what the law doesn't allow me to do the right thing. By getting the right facts, then act. You can't act before you get the right facts. Therefore, the audit that we may be talking about is a premise on issues as they are. Therefore, Chair, allow me to ask him if he has anything, because again, this burden goes back to him. We'll respond. But on issues of audit, issues of ghost workers, I will want to answer as it is asked.
Okay, can the officer go on record, because we don't want to condemn him unheard?
Thank you, Chair. It's true, I'm the Director HR Kisii County. I've been in that position since 2018, not 2013. Initially, as already pointed out in my CV, because it's part of these proceedings. Initially, I worked with the national government since 1987. I've grown through the ranks. I've served in various ministries, including various districts before the counties came into being. I joined the Kisii County in 2018, and I've done my part. I've initiated processes, procedures. I've trained HR officers. I've decentralized HR services from a central point to departments. Regarding what we are talking about, the report, the audit from the Treasury. I came across it last year. It's true, the new team was trying to settle down. And indeed, we responded to the audit together with the former Minister for Finance. Our response is there. It's possible that maybe my boss has not been very conversant with it. But a comprehensive response to these issues, which have been flagged by the Auditor General since 2016 up to 2021, it's there. Given a chance, we can provide the whole of it.
That's all. That's all you have to say, because you've just stirred the waters much further by accusing your governor of not being well informed.
Chair.
Governor Arati, you are not well informed. You are not well conversant with the matters that you came to discuss before the Senate.
Chair, again, I want to say is that I'm well conversant of the things that we are discussing here, except that this related to the Treasury, which is missing. Again, it would have answered those questions.
The officer says it exists. The responses are there. It's just that the governor is probably not well conversant. and Governor, there's and I don't want us to dramatize this because you have the media here. And it's very unfortunate. The governor throws his officer under the bus, and the officer throws the governor further deeper under the bus. I think that is what is playing out here. There seems to be serious issues at the strategic level in terms of your strategies on HR.
Unless, Chair, again, repeatedly I've pointed out that there was a response to the Auditor General, which he has alluded to. There is no another answer that we could give.
Chair, could I?
Senator Nyoka, just 1 minute. I think every government has got a truthful man. The national government, Senator Methu's friend, is a truthful man. And it appears in Kisii the truthful man is the HR director. So, HR director, so if there was a comprehensive response to the Treasury letter, do you think there was justification for another audit, the one that is currently being carried out?
Chair, issues emerge all the time. The governor is new in Kisii. He wants to understand the layout. He wants to understand everything.
Chair, can I intervene, Chair? You know, you are confirming what the Chair has said about the governor, that he doesn't know anything. Do you know what you've said? That the governor needs to understand. What is the governor need to understand? He is governing. He's the CEO. There was no homework he was to do to govern. He's governing.
Senator Onyoka, allow the truthful man to state his truth.
Chair, again, there is a narrative which we must be able to clear here. It should be very clear. We have come before you to answer the questions as they are. Therefore, again, Chair, you must protect. It's important. The people before you, so that we're not pulled around. You hear that the story that now that narrative is one which can be spinned around about Simba doesn't know what he's doing. That is exactly what is being picked. But I'm saying, again, you have a responsibility as the chairman to protect. If there is no sufficient, again, chair response, you have a liberty to ask us to provide.
Governor Simba, I feel very confident about my skills as a chair.
Thank you.
What I'm dealing with are submissions made before me. I don't think we are making up anything. We had gotten to a point where we are casting doubt on the professional capacity of the HR director. We asked him to speak so that if we are making a directive that will touch on him, he will have been given an opportunity to explain himself. He went ahead and said things that perhaps, in my view, were not dealing with his mitigation, because he says the records are there, and the governor perhaps should have just taken time to understand it. At further probing, and I've probed whether it was necessary to carry out the next audit, he has said the governor is trying to appreciate the lay of the land, and that's his comment. If those comments are spun or picked by people, you are the one who has given the bait. What I wanted to guide is if the officer has got nothing that can help us in this particular matter at this point in time, instead of digging the hole deeper, he could yield, then we proceed. But if he proceeds the way he's proceeding, then we are not going to get out of this hole. Because you have a situation where your HR director feels that you should have taken a little bit of time to understand a few things before taking out the action that you have taken.
Mr. Chairman.
And that is to address the concern of this committee, which I think is shared. Is Simba doing the wrong thing, or is Simba doing the right thing in the wrong way? And I thought you were doing the right thing in the wrong way. Now I'm beginning to think that you're doing the wrong thing in its entirety. But maybe when we get to the end of this report, we will have formed our impressions on that.
Mr. Chairman, if you are, I was before you.
Senator Methu, then Senator Nyonka, then we can make some progress.
I'm actually very, very persuaded by the comments of Governor Arati, and maybe to say something that one of our colleagues keeps saying. It is not in our intention to fault find. We are not here to fault find and look for mistakes. We are here to make Kisii County work. We are just here to confirm that whatever you're doing is within what you're supposed to do. So maybe you need to don't be too defensive. It will ultimately boil down on you. That is why it is only yourself that is sweating within this framework. Just take it easy, answer the questions as they are. If there's a fault, just admit to it, then we are able to move.
Okay, Senator Nyonka?
Yeah, for me, I want to say this to you, my brother Simba. You know I respect the office you hold, and I respect you. I have absolutely no need to pass aspersions on your character, whatever. No. What we are trying to solve is a very complex issue. And like my colleagues have said, we are not here to judge you or to say negative things about you. There's no need for that. What we are saying, how do we solve the problem that is in Kisii County? Let me give you an example. You have ECD teachers. They're about 1,000. You know right now, they don't even have contracts. These are your workers. These are the people who voted for us. Why do we find it difficult to make sure that ECD teachers are given either a contract or they are actually put on permanent and pensionable, because that is what we are supposed to do as leaders? Number two, the second issue that I've raised, and I'm raising this to, and it's not personal, Your Excellency Governor. This is never personal, especially with the Director of HR. I've been asking him this question because for me, it is a very, very painful question. How many ghost workers does Kisii County have? He's the one who's been doing the audit. He's been looking at all the details. We have what the national government through Treasury has said what was not supposed to be done. Out of the 18 things that the county government HR department was supposed to come and tell you that, Governor, can we fix this? Can we fix this? You've been in power for now 10 months. Nothing has been done. Out of that, then we start another audit. And me, as an oversight officer for the county government of Kisii, I have an issue with that audit, and I've made it very clear that why are we not able to solve the problem of the first audit so that then it can give you to move to the second audit? Your Excellency, I'm not asking anything that you can't handle and he can't handle.
Okay, thank you, Senator. The Governor? And there was a question by Senator Dulo at some point on your thoughts around way forward. So maybe as you respond, let's be thinking of a way forward.
Chair, can you allow me to, I don't know if we go to the questions again, subsequent questions that are being asked by the senators about ECD. It's not only ECDs and other many things, because there were two sets of questions here.
You have the details in the next question?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, so to get out of where we are, I think let's just have your final statement on why it was necessary to carry out the fresh audit in light of the revelations that we have. I didn't know that there was another audit until you came before us. So maybe your final statement, why was it necessary to carry out this fresh audit, yet the other one had just been carried out and communicated on 1st September 2022.
Chair, again, terms of reference, if you checked clearly on the first audit by the Public Service Commission through Treasury, they were different completely. And I want to repeat on what my officer said. When you came to when I came to the office, is that I need to understand when there is so many arising questions from this audit, to understand who are these ghost workers. What are they withdrawing as salaries? It's important. Given that, again, there are officers who are supposed to be employed permanently. They are not, simply because of these audits that are coming up. Therefore, that prompted for us, within, again, the law, to form the task force or the audit committee to resolve the cases which were raised by the Public Service Commission. The reason for us to have that audit is out of the audit queries which were raised by the Control of the Budget.
Okay, that is your submission. I think at the end of it, we'll be asking ourselves how that then relates to the outcomes of devolved governments, how it will relate to improved health, it will relate to improved agricultural productivity, because I don't think that dealing with ghost workers is the end. It should be a means towards an end, making Kisii County more efficient and allowing you to put more money in productive sectors.
Chair, not cutting you, I want to point out a reason again for us to have had this audit is when you find out that the subordinate staff, they are more than the people we need, like the nurses. Our hospitals, they have no nurses completely. Therefore, for you to understand, again, what workforce do you have, given that there is this response from Public Service Commission, for you to fix that problem. Otherwise, you'll be having people that you don't know what they are doing when other critical institutions, they are suffering.
Okay. Can we go to number 4 then? Because that gives us the ratios. We can reflect on that. The question was the extent to which the county has adhered to the fiscal responsibility principles set out in the PFM Act with regard to wages and benefits to public officers. Kindly provide the annual expense to budget ratios for this class of expenditure from financial year 2013-2014 to date. You may respond, Governor.
Chair, again, I want to state that there are very low levels of adherence to fiscal responsibility principles as set out in the Public Finance Management Act 2012 with regard to wages and benefits to public officers. Analysis of budget versus total personnel emolument for financial year 2013 to 2014 to date is on the table down there.
Maybe you can just focus on the percentages.
Chair, if you check 2013, it was 36. 2013-2014, 36. 2014-2015, 42. Again, Chair, if you check, it went down to 36. Now, subsequent years is an increase. I can tell you even the 45 is not true. It's around 58. That's where we are. The annual, Chair, you check the annual personal emolument percentage based on the actual receipts, disbursement from National Treasury of every financial year from 2017 to 2018 to 2021, 2022 was shown as on the table below. Again, if you check, it's on the trajectory from 46, 50, 48, 53, 58. And there are those annexes that have been put there, Mr. Chairman.
So if for every 100 shillings, 58 shillings goes to wages and employee costs, how many shillings go to development out of 100?
Chair, the act is clear that we are supposed to do 30-70. But here, we do around 24 against 76, which is against, again, the law.
24 being 24%
Development,
going to
yes.
development.
The law is that we cannot come down to below 30.
So the development should be 30, personnel should be 35. So you've been consistently breached the fiscal responsibility principles.
That is it.
As stated in the PFM Act. So would you then say that this is part of the trigger for the current efforts that you're undertaking?
That was the reason, Chair, because if you check on personnel emolument, it's 35, but we are around 60. Therefore, to ascertain exactly what is happening, you had to do what I did.
Okay, those are numbers, and numbers don't lie. Senator Nyonka.
Governor, I wanted to raise the issue from the question you've just answered. Concerning that issue of the PFM Act requesting that we must maintain a certain percentage, from the time when you became governor, other than your senior officers, the CECs, the ROs, are there any other positions which you have opened up and employed individuals who are not what you call necessary in the administration of your government? And these individuals, how many would they averagely be? Now, another thing that has confused me is that there is a section where you are saying there were recommendations which you have made whereby those people who retired must go home. Those who have been, because of misconduct, they've been told to go home. Those ones will all go home and everything. So I'm asking you, is there any number of people that you have employed since you became governor other than your executive? Number two, I wanted to raise this issue, Chair, because the governor is right on top of it. I am aware as your governor that you have actually created what is called advisory units. I know that there are advisory units in terms of people advising you politically, either on the politics side, economic side, finance side, and you even have what is now called a delivery unit within your office. I wanted to ask the HR boss, and if the Public Service Board was here, I would have asked them the same question. And the question I'm asking is, these people that have been employed, and yet we have a moratorium or we have a stoppage to employing people because of the 40-something percent, 50-something percent we are at. And the last issue that I wanted to ask is, in terms of the law, and I'm talking to you, Director, not necessarily the Governor, how many units can you form within the county government structure? In other words, how many people can the Governor employ within that structure as being part and parcel of advisory units?
Okay, let's deal with those questions. Governor?
Chair, number one, I want to point out that yes, there are those positions provided in the law when we come to the office. The CECs, the chief officers, advisors, these are the positions that we have found there. They are not new creation. They're only new creation. And then in the new creation, you can't create. You have to write to the service board to accept for you to take to the assembly. It has to take the route of the law, again, for purposes of service delivery. And that is it. Chair, for the people that who have been employed, I've employed 10, CECs, 14 chief officers, against what was there before, 18 of them, if I came down. Advisors, 6, against, I think, 9 who are there. The only provision that has been provided, again, following the law, is the GDU 5. And that's all. Other than the ones, the gardener that is provided, those are, the few elements that we can be having. Therefore, in total, since I came to the office, I've employed around 35 people only, from the CCs to the advisors, as it were.
Okay.
But my question...
there was a question on how many units can be created.
Yes.
Maybe we deal with that, then we get some...
Yeah, and I also had asked another question in the spirit of trying to deal with the issue of ethnicity and the issue of people living with disability. Of the 35, have you tried to take into consideration those two aspects, as you answered in your first question?
Surprisingly is that most of these positions, they are advertised from the daily. And when you don't have anybody applying, you not go around fishing for anybody. But if they were there, of course, you'd have gotten them, Chair.
But I've put it to you, Governor. I put it to you, Governor, that be it 5 or 10 out of the 35, there are those ones that you directly appoint without advertisement. Your own chief of staff, that's not a position that is advertised. Your legal advisor, your personal assistant, your economic advisor, many of them that are provided for in the circular, like 10 of...
Yeah, I'm not very sure because, again, I must have had some few, the ones that directly I appoint.
Yeah, that is what I'm speaking about. The ones that you directly appoint yourself. Mm-hmm. Have you tried? Because if you, and I'm happy that I've been told you are a Christian. You have read the parable of the talents. If you cannot do one with, you cannot do well with one, it tells us that you cannot do well with 5.
Governor, I think the question should be answered directly. And since Senator Methu keeps talking about the church, I usually see Simba in my church. Nairobi Central SDA Church. But don't behave the way Jesus Christ did. When he had the opportunity to recruit 12 disciples, he took 12 men, and most of them fishermen. I think times have changed. So what Senator Methu is saying, if you have the opportunity to have 12 disciples, let there be gender balance, let there be persons with disability, let there be youth.
Point of information.
Okay, Senator Umtata.
Jesus Christ trained an authority, not a democracy.
I thought it was the fairest of them all.
Yeah, but with an authority, not a democracy.
Okay, we might end up in the wrong place if we continue this way. So,
Chair, very minimal that I've again appointed. I don't want to say that out of those ones I've appointed. Again, there are around 5 of, because out of all the other ones is advertisement. The ones that I must have gotten is around 4, if not 5. Yes, those one directly that I.
So then that says that you still have room for more appointments.
Precisely.
So in that you promise that.
That of course I've been a member of parliament in Dagoretti here, and all communities are involved. Now that I've gone to the village where I was born, I found that all the people applying there again, they're from the village. Therefore, I've got another option. But if anybody comes again on board, be it from anywhere in the country, will be accommodated.
Very good.
I can give you one from Isiolo.
Please do, as long as it meets.
Yeah, I was going to rule you out of order because canvassing is not allowed at any level. Can we, members, try to... Time is fast spent. It's almost 1 o'clock, and I thought that would have been done by now. We still have about 3 or 4 pages of responses. To the next question on information systems that are used in the county, Governor, is it only IPPD or you have procured a local HR management system?
It's only IPPD.
It's only IPPD.
Yes.
Senator Mariam Omar?
Chair, before you proceed to the next question, if you look at the table number 1 and number 2, table number 1 is the budget for the salary, total expenditure, and the budget. Table number 2 is the actual payment, if I'm not wrong. When you see the budget, 2017 and 18 up to 2022, the budget is the same figure. There's no change. But when it comes to actual payments, in 2021 and 2022, the budget is 5.7 million and 5 billion 714 million. And when it comes to actual payments, there's a difference of 12 million.
Where is that?
Because the way explanation here, if you budget 5.7 billion, when it comes to reimbursement and maybe you get reimbursement late, the figure must be less than, the actual payment must be less than what is budgeted. In 2017, 2018, the figure also, there is some difference. Maybe Chair, through you, what you budgeted is supposed to be what you the actual payment, yes. So maybe overpayments of governor, maybe sponsored, talk or pocket yaki.
Okay, I take note of the concerns of Senator Mariam Omar. She's has an accounting background, so she's very keen on numbers. But then the fact is, you are way above 35%. I think that is a problem that we must deal with.
There isn't.
Anything that goes beyond 35% is improper, is imprudent.
Yeah.
You can get the numbers, let them tie properly, and the numbers should come from what the Auditor General has audited. But the point there is you must take measures, and I think the next question will be asking what measures you are taking to ensure that you comply with the fiscal responsibility principles. But Senator Omar is right as to the numbers and the accuracy. Next time, make sure that their numbers that tie up. Could we maybe
I could run an authority, just as Senator Mtata said, and direct that we go to issue number 6. Provide evidence of the existence of an approved human resource establishment and a functional county public service board, and confirm the qualifications and affiliations of the county's head of human resource. Governor, what's your response?
Chair, Kisii County government has approved the staff establishment. And this one again, Chair, I wanted just to point out, yes, it could be there, but it has not been properly finished. Therefore, but the board is in existence. The board as it is.
Governor, you earlier told us there's no board. There's no board.
The board as an institution.
Not the individuals.
Not individuals, Chair. The individuals are not there. They have been kicked out.
Chair, point of order. Governor Arati, point of order, sir. Chair, could you allow me to intervene here, sir?
Proceed, Senator.
Governor Arati, we've just gotten the court order. I will table it. It will be presented to you. Number 2, the court demands that you honor the obligations under which they made a ruling. That board is not sitting. That board has been harassed and hounded out of the buildings around the Kisii County government where your offices are. Governor, that board has got thugs. I have correspondence, Chair, which stipulates everything that has been happening to that board. The reason why I decided to participate is because I represent the interests of the county government. I will forward and table those documents, and I would like the governor to make a ruling at the end of it as to exactly why that board is not in the office. I am informed the board has already filed at the Kisii police station a case where events which have been taking place, all of them have been channeled, and all the correspondence is with me in the file here. Chair, I will table those documents on your desk.
Senator Cherarke.
Quick look on the order that is Senator Onyonga is alluding, is that order number 1 is avoiding the gazettement. That's order number 1. Constituting or causing to be gazetted, that is order number 2. And then order number 3, any selection panel composed the orders of 9th May for the is restrained from advertising, shortlisting, interviewing or hiring persons to replace the expertise. But I don't see on Senator Onyonga where it says they remain in office, unless I'm having the wrong, because it says the final one, this may be before trial for directions on preliminary, because I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4.
There were 2 orders. One was given in Kisii, the other one was given in Nairobi.
Chair.
So I will table both.
Okay, just
Can I conclude, Chair?
Okay, let Senator Dulo, is it a point of order?
Yes. Chair, is it right for us to discuss that court order this time when we don't know very well the governor has a copy?
I think it would be.
I think it is nodding as I read through the orders. It looks like he's aware.
Senator Dulo raises an important question that until and unless the order is properly served or tabled, then it will be anticipatory of us to discuss it.
Then you decline for Senator Onyonga not to table if we cannot discuss it.
Yes, because because we need to be careful in terms of admission of records before us, but also be careful around the sub judice principle. But the whatever is coming out from all this conversation is that, because the question was a functional county public service board. Whatever is coming out is that even if there was a board established, it is not functional because it is hanging on the basis of a court order. And that is symptomatic of a big problem. And it is that problem that has brought us here. The more substantive thing is when you say you have a staff establishment that is approved, what is an approved staff establishment?
Because you said you have some reservations about it. What are your reservations on the staff establishment?
Can I answer that? If you don't, I can. Chair, is at the draft level,
Yeah, Chair. I think they don't have a staff establishment.
Order, Senator Dulo, page 6, number 6A. Kisii County Government has an approved staff establishment and functional county public service board.
And the chair.
That's your submission.
Chair,
written.
again there, I wanted to, because there is a document I wanted to substitute specifically on that number, as I did earlier.
Okay, so you want to expunge
that
A,
that particular one
and
A,
replace with
Kisii County Government does not have an approved staff.
Chair, can I, point of order, Chair?
Okay, could we allow him just to first substitute and then we comment on it?
Yes.
What's substitution?
Chair, Kisii County Government does not have an approved staff establishment. However, it has a functional county public service board by the time of response.
Chair, can I?
By now, is that still your submission?
No.
Point of order, Chair.
Okay, Senator Tata, then Senator Onyonka.
We shall have timelines within which we receive documents here so that we can review them. If the governor has identified that what has been presented to us is inaccurate, he cannot amend them on the floor. He can withdraw, go and amend, then bring us a proper document which you can interrogate and then have a discussion with him over. But if he's amending it this way, it disadvantages us, it disadvantages the Auditor General. He has no time to go through it. Because the reason we require that documents be presented in advance is that we get documents that we can then interrogate and hold the governor accountable for. But if the governor has, or the documents that have been produced here, either by himself or on his behalf, are having errors the way the governor is pointing out, then the only thing we can do is to terminate these proceedings and ask the governor to go back, organize his house, then give us documents that we can interrogate him on.
Chair, I wanted to bring the point from where Okio Mtata is talking. Chair, you set up precedent about a month ago when we had individuals coming and presenting their documents into this committee, and you told them you will not accept those documents. I think, Chair, maintain your status quo. Thank you.
Okay, I think the submission by Senator Mtata is procedural and it is valid. But if you go to the substantive matter, the governor has repeatedly stated here the problems they're having with the County Public Service Board. We cannot take a conclusion that you've got a functional public service board from the very first, first 5 minutes of our conversation. The other problem that comes up is the governor submitting a written response only to disown it on the floor. Means that your problem is not really with the drivers and casuals and the people down there. Your problem is at this level of serious men who are able to write things that come to the Senate. So I hope that you're also dealing with that, because Waswahili walisema kikulacho kingoni mwako. You might be carrying some of the things that are biting you here, because we have seen your position on the issue of the audit. We have seen your position now on the issue of the human resource establishment. We have seen your position on the issue of fraud arising from the payroll audit. You have disputed your own report. And in as much as we need to be procedurally correct, I think it's also important to allow you to express yourself on what you think is wrong with this document. So, members, I think with that, it is obvious. They don't have a proper staff establishment as submitted by the governor, and by our own observation, Kisii does not have a functional county public service board. And it is our responsibility now as a Senate to advise and pronounce ourselves on it. Senator Cherarke.
Maybe, Governor, would you want to withdraw your document, or we proceed as is, number one? Number two, did you fire County Public Service Board so that they don't come to this meeting? Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Chair, I want to, the area response, of course, as I just indicated, there are a number of responses there which I'm not comfortable with. When they were submitted again, I just found them there here. Likely the chairman, the way he has put it, is that the problem is not on the lower cadre, it's all over, it's the whole body. Therefore, we are trying to patch every piece of that cloth to see if we can wear it. Therefore, Chair, that one is given. I didn't fire, and I want to be on record. I did not fire. I have no powers to fire the service board. The service board has been fired as by the law, by the assembly. Therefore, Chair, I'm clear. They are my people. They are the people who have actually employed for me. There's so many people that I've just mentioned, around 30. Therefore, I have no business complete to have fired them. They've been found on their own ground, and that's where they are out, Chair.
Okay, can we proceed to
Finally,
number 7
Chair, because,
after that intervention?
Because Senator Okoito Mutata has raised a valid point, and Governor, you didn't answer. So you want us to impeach the whole document, to remove, you want to withdraw the entire document, or this specific part that you want us to withdraw? Because you have said, Governor, that there are some areas you are not comfortable with. So should we accept partially this document? Because like Annex 3 it says approved, but you have said let us impeach that statement and say it does not have. So you want us to impeach specific sections of your presentation?
That would be my prayer.
Okay. Maybe, Chair, you can rule before we proceed.
Okay. Since this session is more advisory rather than our typical audit interrogation, I would be persuaded more by the substantive justice route rather than procedural justice and correctness. So, because I think we called you here to understand the problem and to advise you on how to do the right thing in the right way, not in the wrong way as is becoming apparent. So I want to convince my colleagues that we could proceed to, if the governor disowns the next issue, then we'll have a problem. But let's proceed to the next issue and find a way of bringing this matter to a close. Then we can advise the governor as the rest of us go back to do other things. Issue number 7.
That 6B, Chair, I think everything is provided for qualification of the county director, human, and is here with me. Everything is there, Chair.
Is a member of the Institute of Human Resource Management?
Yes, Chair.
Just go on record. Just go on record in
Yes.
good standing.
Good standing.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's proceed to number 7.
Number 7, Chair, provide documentary evidence of the status of implementation in the county of the recommendation of the capacity assessment and rationalization of the public service, that's CAPS, program and the results thereof, findings and recommendation. The capacity assessment and rationalization of the public service was carried out in Kisii in the year 2015. The overall objective was to ensure that the county government functions were properly structured and adequately staffed for effective delivery of services. The process covered all structures and operations of the county government. The assessment found out that there was lack of critical personnel in various departments, including lands, water, compliance officers, both in Kisii town and emerging towns and other departments. Chair, our response: the county government of Kisii has since taken the following measures to address the issues that were raised by CAPS. Staffing: the Ministry of Health with appropriate skills for various cadres, thus increasing the workforce size from 1,268 to 2,047, with the number of specialists being increased from 13 to 68. Medical officers from 22 26 to 56, and registered nurses from 596 to 865. And there are those attachments, Chair, in 4A. B, technical...
Before you go to B, you have referred to a detailed staff establishment to address the gaps. Is that the staff establishment which you have said still has some issues?
This for the Ministry of Health, Chair.
The county, the staff establishment is global. So if you have a problem with the global establishment, then I don't even think we should discuss it now at the functional level.
Duke?
If your position is that there are still gaps that need to be addressed, the staff establishment globally, then perhaps it might not be appropriate for us to use that as evidence of your mitigation.
As given, Chair.
So if that is the case...
In the process, can I please just bring in a point that I think is critical? On the same issue, on 7A, the staffing of the Ministry of Health with appropriate skills. Chair, I would like to again mention that I have received a petition in my office, which I will not introduce as evidence, but we can discuss this later, where members of the KMPDU have raised issues in terms of the CAPS arrangement within the county government in terms to their promotions, demotions, transfers, cross transfers and all that. And I would like, if possible, the Director of HR to explain which criteria he uses to transfer those officers. And Chair, I would like to make a recommendation that once we finish to the Governor, when we go to the next level, the KMPDU team and the nurses fraternity from Kisii County would have to come and present their views on the same.
Maybe, Chair, on a point of order as matter of procedure, it is the Governor who is under oath. So from the look of the way we are operating, we might need to put the head of resource due to go under oath, because if we continue specifically as isolating officers that have accompanied the Governor, yet the Governor has taken oath, then we must rethink, because you have insisted this was more of advisory, because if we allow the officer to answer and the Governor is under oath, the Governor can disregard unless we use through the Governor so that we get the collective responsibility on that issue. I'm not saying what you are raising is not valid, but of course, the Governor should be aware that any information that comes from your officers, you are the one who is under oath. So make sure they are well versed with it.
Okay, Senator Mithu.
I've heard you, Chairman, speak about us expanding, but I'm also persuaded by your earlier assertion that ours is more advisory than really the normal accounting business that we do. From the annexure that you have annexed, annexure 4A, on how you have addressed the gaps identified by CAPS, but I'm a bit worried in the numbers that before devolution, that is in 2012, there were 11 therapists in the Ministry of Health in Kisii, and they are now 10. Instead of them increasing, they're reducing. And there was a mortuary attendant before devolution, and after devolution, there is none. That is what is in your records. Maybe I would want to understand how.
Is that the staff establishment?
Yeah, Annex 4A.
Chair.
Senator Dula?
Chairman, I want to persuade the team. From the discussions we are having, and also the response given by the Governor, there are so many gaps in the whole document of staff establishment and so many other things, which clearly means if we sit here, we might not have a solution. I'm just providing a way forward that as a committee, maybe we give Governor a certain time frame within which he should be able to tell us when he can be able to have the manual. Then number two, the concerns we have raised and Senator Onyonka has raised, how is he going to intervene and come back to this committee and confirm that all those issues are rectified, because it's a whole mess, you know. So I want to persuade the team if we can maybe take that direction. Thank you.
Yeah, but before then, I think the third one I've seen again is that before devolution you had 3 dentists. After devolution you have only 1.
Okay, striking a balance between the observations of Senator Dulo that outrightly you can see a lot of gaps in these records, and yet we want to get the right picture and to be able to give the right advice. What we have perhaps might not give us that opportunity to render the right advice. Governor, what do you say? Because you said there's a problem in the staff establishment.
Again, Chair, given there is a problem on the establishment itself, until there is the new board in place, we'll definitely have this back and forth. Therefore, I'll plead with the committee that immediately the new team is in, we can be able to have the manual in place. Again, going back to the Vice Chair.
Order. The Vice Chair is Senator Cherarkei, who is uncharacteristically quiet today. I don't know what he had over the weekend. Maybe some mursik that was over-fermented.
But Chair, I am following keenly. If you have seen my questions, they are very meticulous.
Very well.
And to the point.
Yes.
And precise.
Are there questions that are not meticulous, Chairman?
So that was just on a light note.
The Senator Metal, again, I wanted just to respond that yes, there are those disparities. You realize that over time, again, we are talking of mortuary attendant. We have put in place, be it is on acting, capacities, because they must, those services be delivered. Again, as I've just pointed out, if we had the manual in place, these things will be fixed. Chair.
Could I...
Chairman, please allow me to just say one thing.
Okay, the last.
Because I am not very persuaded that what Governor you have said is the solution, is something, in my opinion, we should be able to admit. That we shall only get away once you get a new board. It is within the knowledge of this committee that the matter is active in court. You have actually confirmed as much. And we do not know for how long that litigation will be there. What if the whole back and forth is there for 1 whole year? And I have dealt with a county assembly petition that took 2 years. Because these orders come, these others, you have said that there is an order from Kisii, another one from Nairobi, another one who come from Mombasa, another person who go to Olkalau and get another order. So it's not something that you can say with certainty that is you shall get a board in 1 month, 5 months, 10 months, 1 year. You cannot say that we shall be in this mess until you get a new board.
Chair, again, administratively, there are things we can fix, but there are those ones which will wait for the board to be put in place. But administratively, Chair will be able to address issues emerging that requires administrative intervention.
So I'm very persuaded, Governor, that there is something that you can be able to do through your own county secretary, through your director. I'm very impressed, by the way, that he has so much experience. He has actually been in this field long before I was born. I heard that he joined in 1987. 4 years later is when we came around. So. So I'm very persuaded that you have the right team, you have the right people. You can be there is something that really you can be able to do, even as you wait for the issue of the board to be sorted out here and there. There's something that you can be able to do administratively.
Could I ask a question, just thinking ahead and looking at the time available to us? We have a stalemate that you don't have a county public service board that is functional. But also there's an exercise that is going on that cannot be concluded without a county public service board. This exercise that you're running of auditing the payroll and ascertaining the academic qualifications of your staff, How is that running when you have this lacuna with the County Public Service Board?
Chair, again, I want to reiterate to say that yes, the exercise is going on. What requires administrative measures we'll be able to put in. Where the service board is required, of course, it has to await until the case is finished in court. There is no another way. But administrative issues, they will be addressed, Chair.
What is your original timeline for conclusion of the exercise, assuming all factors were constant?
Probably, Chair, by the end of this month.
By end of this month?
Yes, by the end of, because there's only one entity which is again remaining to ascertain a number of the things we have asked for us to be able to have a full report, Chair.
There are two things that I'd like my colleagues to help me make a decision on. Number one is we could give the exercise time to run its course and then call the governor back to get a report on his findings. Number two, if the observations that there is an irregularity in the process as at now, we need to point them out so that those are corrected even before the exercise is concluded. Of course, the third thing is whether this audit is necessary in the first place or it's a waste of public funds. So, Honorable Senators, we still have a couple of pages to go, but if you address that question now, then the rest of the remaining issues would collapse. Do we agree that we allow this exercise to run and then in the next 1 month, the governor to appear when the process is complete? By that time, maybe the issues of the Public Service Board would have been resolved. Have we identified glaring irregularities in the exercise so far that we must tell the governor to stop or we must cite the governor for? And are we convinced that this exercise should proceed as is? Maybe let me hear from Senator Methu, then Senator Onyonka, then the rest of my colleagues. Then we can agree whether we have to look at every subsequent issue or we allow for time for a more comprehensive report.
Mr. Chairman, I'm very persuaded from where I sit that the proposal that you made that we allow the governor some time, because maybe I may not be a prophet or a seer, but I'm seeing a person who is really determined to sort out this matter. And I would be persuaded that we can give him 1 month to see whether we should do stock taking after 1 month, see how far we have gone with the process, see how far the issue of the board has gone. Otherwise, we may spend a lot of time saying the same thing. And I think all of us are almost agreeing. The governor says there's a problem. The committee says there's a problem. So no matter how much we reduce this file, we shall only be finding a problem, but no solution. Because a solution seems to be in the offing, I'm persuaded that we can allow the 1 month.
Okay, maybe before the host Senator, I can listen to Senator Gattai.
Thank you, Chair. I think we have prosecuted this matter, but I think from the way things are, the governor is very much determined to have this matter resolved. So I think the best thing that we can do as a committee is to give you some more time. Maybe he puts all the structures on board so that maybe we can have a conclusive approach to that issue.
Okay. Senator Nandi?
I appreciate where the governor is. I think he's trying to fix a lot of things. If it is convenient for you to give you 1 month, then it is okay. I don't have a problem.
Senator Onyonka.
Chair, I can see the mood in the House, the mood in the committee. I would actually recommend that we give the governor time. I also feel, my chairman, that you can't resolve this matter, whether you want to resolve it without getting the stakeholders for them to come and have their say. The reason for that, Chair, is that you have stakeholders in terms of the Public Service Board, which, of course, the matter is in court, but there's a way they can come either as former commissioners, and since the case is going on in court, I think it's important we give them time to come up with the resolution on that matter. And I think since you do not want to set the precedent that I see as nearly going to set, and that is allowing anybody who's coming to make a presentation with documentation to change the narrative that they had come up with to present. I think let us allow the governor time to go back, consult with the team that he has got in the county government, and then we can come back after 30 days.
What then it sounds like is that we must ask ourselves whether there are issues that we must pronounce ourselves on immediately that will guide this exercise. And the following issues come up. Number one, the governor as a CEO must take urgent measures to ensure that the leadership of the human resource function in Kisii County aligns with his vision. I don't know the gentleman who's your HR director. I don't know him at a personal level. But now that his qualifications have been put before us, there is no reason why he should not provide leadership to that department. But it's not just about qualifications. It's also alignment with the vision of the CEO. There is some alignment the two of you must have, so that when you come before the Senate, you are speaking from the same script. So unless it was stage fright, and you know the apprehension of speaking before the Senate. But that conversation left us with the wrong impression that there's some misalignment between the office of the CEO and the office of the HR director. That must be addressed immediately. And if the governor has concerns about that capacity, then it has to be done within the law. We expect you to take administrative action fairly, in line with what the Constitution requires. Number two is that the audit that was done by the National Treasury, the Senate needs to be convinced that the county government of Kisii took measures to close the gaps, because it is only then that we will be convinced that the next audit was necessary. There's no point of doing an audit, leaving it halfway, and then doing another audit. And if there was that letter that your officer has talked about, at our next meeting, it will be important that you come with a summary of the letter detailing the actions that Kisii County government has taken. Number three, we would always advocate and advise for alternative dispute resolution in these matters, because it is untidy for the County Public Service Board to sue the county executive, and yet their agencies, it's an agency that works on behalf of the county government of Kisii. It is untidy for the County Public Service Board to be suing or to getting orders against the county assembly, which has the constitutional duty to check and even impeach that County Public Service Board. I don't know whether your county attorney was here, but he wasn't introduced, but the county secretary and the CEO, we advise that you explore alternative dispute resolution options so that you don't end up with legal bills on top of huge payroll issues. So when you come back again in the next 1 or 2 months, we'll be asking for the measures that you've taken to ensure this matter is resolved out of court so that it does not cost the people of Kisii much more. The final directive we must give, and this is not advice but a directive, is that the county executive of Kisii must ensure full compliance with the law in all decisions that are taken in this exercise, to avoid victimization, to avoid an impression of witch hunt, and to avoid an impression of favoritism. There's an issue that Senator Methu had raised about promotions. Promotions, when due, should be given out. The Senate cannot be the body that directed Governor Arati to stop issuing promotions. Those people who are due for promotions, those people who are justified and rightfully due for promotion, Governor Simba, you must remove that caveat on promotions because it is a right, it is earned, and when it is earned, it needs to be given. It should not be at the discretion of the governor. So I think that is our directive as a Senate, that do everything within the law but particularly on promotions, let nobody suffer for the acts of omission or commission of other parties who have left office. I think finally, if it becomes evident that the persons who left office are to personally take responsibility for the bloating of the wage bill from an original 36 to 58%, nothing in the Constitution stops us from calling them before this committee so that they can take personal responsibility. I think, honorable members, that summarizes some of the observations that we can make at this point in time to allow the governor to prepare himself. And when he comes back, we will take a decision on whether to interrogate these matters as a Public Accounts Committee or jointly with the Labor Committee. Because there are things like caps, staff establishment, the powers of Public Service Board, which we might want to push to the Labor Committee for comprehensive statutory review. Senator Onyonka.
My chair, my governor, I wanted to say 2 words. This whole exercise, Your Excellency Governor Arati, is not supposed to be vindictive. We are not coming in to be judgmental. What the Senate is supposed to do is to oversight, raise issues which exist and look at them, interrogate them, and hope we get a solution. Chair, I would like to beg my governor. We have ECD teachers right now who have no contracts, they have no salaries, they're at home. We have a team of the medical practitioners, those ones who are at the village community health-based officers. I know you have started doing something with them, and I'm very impressed and I'm happy with that. But you have a problem when it comes to the people who are collecting on-source revenue. You have a problem with the people who are working in your county governments with the Technical Vocational Training Institute. You know we have a problem with the doctors, and you know we have a problem with the nurses. And of course, you have an issue with the drivers and all that. My wish, Chair, and in front of my colleagues, is to really plead with you. Some of these things, you can sort them out and you can finish with them. By the time you come here after 30 days, you might actually find we are dealing with a one-pager and everything has moved on. There is no framework we are having here to try and make sure that you find it difficult to govern. Your Excellency, you know I campaigned with you. You know I've worked with you. I want you to succeed. The only request I would like to make, these gentlemen in front of you are very, very experienced. That one is a doctor. This one is a financial guru. That one is now head of HR. That man has worked for the last 15 years as the chief secretary. Allow them to advise you and allow them to make recommendations. Even me, Your Excellency, call me. You never know what I might tell you. Let us agree to make sure that the county becomes functional. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Onyonka. That's a good way to be coming to a conclusion. Senator Cherarking.
Maybe a quick one. I think we needed to, you chair, to rule and provide direction, because I've seen Senator Onyonka has insisted on inviting other actors, including KMPDU and maybe other unions that work in Kisii County. Maybe you'll give a ruling before you close. And therefore, this issue of wage bill continues to be a threat to the growth of counties, because I am aware, as of now, counties have not received slightly over 90 billion for the last, through the shareable revenue, which out of that 90 billion, I can predict more than 60% normally goes to recurrent, which is salary, which is very unfortunate. So, Governor, these days you have been given go and tied up. You have been a leader before in this city. And you campaign closely with our brother Senator Onyonka. I hope all is well in the paradise. But what we want to see in Kisii County government is deliverables, as your senator said. At the end of the day, the ultimate person who should get service is Wanjiku, and you and me agree. And to congratulate you for working closely with the national government for the benefit of the great people of Kisii. wish you well. You know, I've always supported you, and we want just to transform the lives of the people of Kisii and take care of our in-law. You know, that guy is our in-law, so he knows where to find me. Thank you.
Well, you seem to have a lot of personal links with Kisii County. You should have declared that interest at the beginning of the meeting. Okay, Senator Methu?
Maybe, I don't know. I heard you say that the vice chair is uncharacteristically quiet. But, evidence is coming at the tail end of everything. But I must say this, Governor Arati, from where I sit, I would really want to wish you well, for the very simple reason that you serve as one of the youngest governors that we have. And again, now from this side, I serve as the youngest senator in the Senate. You know, the burden that is on our shoulder is such a huge generational burden that is on us, that even the young people can become good governors, they can become good managers, they can be able to perform and give services to the people. Just as the vice chair has said, the ultimate goal, besides these issues of the board, besides these issues of your working relationship with other people, the ultimate goal is giving the people of Kisii services. They need water, they need good roads, they need medicine in the hospital. If you're able to fix those issues, the rest of the issues are issues that you shall be able to deal with here and there. So I wish you well. You have my best wishes as you go back to Kisii.
Okay, Senator Chirarkei, if you wanted to go to Ngong Race Course, you should have gone instead of following the proceedings in my committee. Senator Mtata.
Yeah, that is our former party. We are keen on what is happening.
Okay, let's close so that
yes, Your Excellency, I think you have heard what is happening. I'm sure this is your first time to appear before the committee. Although you may have presided in committees where others have appeared before you, this is different. So listening to your senator, the other senators, and to yourself, saying the report was not up to scratch, make use of the 30 days, come back in a more organized way, and let the star that we hoped, one fellow who supported you for Kisii, so the star we hope that we know that you can be in Kisii should not be blamed, be dimmed. So you have everything going for you. You are a youthful man. You can sit and read this document even for 72 hours, just taking coffee. If you're an older man, I would say maybe. So I think you just did not pay attention. You did not go through the report before it came here. You trusted too much. Now you have come and found that this report is not up to scratch. You would have withdrawn it earlier, but you have been given an opportunity. Make use of it and let the people of Kisii benefit from your tenure. That's all, and God bless.
Thank you. Senator Methu had alluded to the aspects of youth, and I invite him to look at what George Bernard Shaw said, that youth is the most precious thing in life. It is too bad it has to be wasted on young folks. Governor Simba, Arati, your final words.
Chair, again, want to thank you as a committee and point out two things that I wanted you to bear in mind. That as our sole business, especially as the governor of Kisii, is to make sure I've given my people the best by the law. Indeed, we campaigned alongside with my brother, Senator Onyonka. We're in good books. In the paradise, we are not doing badly. Yes, we're not bad off. But again, I wanted to just point out that, yes, I have a good team now. I hope number of the oversights things that which were been identified here, they may not arise in the next meeting that we'll be having. But of more importance, I would want to ask Chair, if there is any other question you're feeling to ask alongside what you've asked us, please do. I'm ready to appear before the Senate many times as I can, so that I can, again, we are on a learning process. We are sharpening each other. There are great brains here. Therefore, when we mix around, we get what we want for the country again. And why I have an issue with my ECD teachers, whom I've promised that again we're going to confirm them on permanent and pensionable terms. But again, that forest is big. That forest, it has everything. You know, is a forest which has stayed there for 10 years. Therefore, there are some cobras, very, very dangerous snakes that I'm dealing with again around the forest. I'm carefully following the law on how to deal with them. It's not easy. Given that I have my team here, we are sure that we'll be able to clean the forest. In a couple of years, Kisii will be among the best counties that everyone will want to admire to follow on what you are doing. Otherwise, again, I'm ready. The issues of disciplinary, as I just indicated, disciplinary, I have nothing against anybody in my county. It's only that people who believe in the past, who don't want to change. Some of them, they will break. But those ones who are fragile, they will move with them, Chair. We have no option. Again, we'll do everything within the laws. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the conclusion of this meeting, that everything must be done within the law, and every action taken must not be interpreted as witch hunt, profiling, cleansing, and settlement of political scores. When we started, we asked ourselves whether you are doing the wrong thing or the right thing. At 58% of your budget going to employees, then some action must be taken. And if this action is meant to sort out that 58%, then we could say that it is the right initiative. The next thing is to ask whether you are doing the right thing in the wrong way or doing the right thing in the right way. But I think from this conversation and the fact that we've not been able to conclude means that there are certain things you need to rectify as you move along. And it will only become clear once this exercise is over in the next 1 month, whether you did the right thing in the right way. But please do not circumvent the law. Do not circumvent the offices that these gentlemen hold. The county secretary is the head of the county public service. In fact, it's surprising that he has not commented throughout this meeting. The responsibility, even before you behead the HR director, you must start with the head of the county secretary, because he's the boss of everybody in terms of the public service in the county. But we also need to relook at the County Governments Act, because I've always found a problem where the county secretary is designated as the head of the county public service, and you have the county public service board that sometimes acts like it's an institution on its own, forgetting that in the law, they act on behalf of the county executive. There's a problem. And those are the kind of things we need to be talking about when we come back. Why would you have a situation where the county public service board is impeached, hangs on the basis of a court order? What were the grounds of impeachment? Were they violation of the constitution, violation of the law? I think there's a systemic problem across all counties on the relationship between the CEO, county secretary, county public service board, and the extent to which the HR director can go in correcting some of these things. Those conversations, we can have them with the Council of Governors, but feel free to approach us if there's specific legislative changes you think we need to take. Feel free to approach any of the senators here to clarify that. The right of people to have jobs at Kisii County Executive is part of the objectives of devolution. We were saying jobs in Nairobi were only going to certain tribes or certain interests. So when we bring a government to Kisii, it cannot be criminal for the people of Kisii to work for the Kisii County government. But you must balance between paying salaries and buying drugs, paying salaries and building roads. And I think there the Senate is with you. In as much as everyone who is qualified has a right to be employed and to enjoy the fruits of that employment in Kisii County, it must be balanced against the rights of others to have roads, food, and medication. So whatever you are doing, please make sure you link it to the objectives of devolution. Devolution was not only for payment of salaries, but for improvement of lives and livelihoods. As long as that is your focus, we shall support you. But if the focus is different, if it's politics, then the Senate will not be part of it. If the focus is on those objectives, we will be at hand to advise, we will be at hand to correct whenever the need arises. Finally, the Senator for Kisii has been very passionate about these issues, and I want to thank him for helping the committee understand what is going on in Kisii County and for raising the red flags. Even my own county, Homa Bay, is suffering similar issues. And so this should not be seen as witch hunt. It should not be seen like the Senator for Kisii is interfering in the work of the governor. That is his job, to provide oversight. That is his job, to be the voice of the people who feel aggrieved by certain actions of the county executive. In terms of the specific petitions, KMPDU, ECD teachers, I would like that we handle them separately. And if possible, we could get a petition from those professionals to come to the Senate in the usual manner that a petition comes to the Senate. Then we can address it separately. I think as a Public Accounts Committee, our biggest concern is the 58% and how it can reduce to 35% within the law. With that long summary, I think...
Allow me to, sorry, just to make this comment after you have made your last, you've given direction. There is one thing I believe in strongly. No angel will fall from heaven to fix our current mistakes. We must fix ourselves. But for a human being to give positive results, pain sometimes must be inflicted in them for us to be realized. And this one, Chair, is a common principle in economics, which we must be able to apply. But again, we apply it within the law. That's my mark.
Could we, and I don't a longer conversation. When were your employees last paid their salaries? Which month?
Chair, again, this is important. Given that the Senate, you are here. You are the people who have to push again the National Treasury in release of the money. We have not received money for March, April. Now we are in May, and the likelihood is that we may go into the new year without the salary of 2 months as it stands.
When is the last month that your employees were paid? I think just that specific question, leave alone the reasons for why or why not.
I've paid them to April, and this is through an overdraft that we have secured. It's a facility that we have secured with the banks. It's important to note, so that when the money comes in from National Treasury, we pay back. And again, it has its own...
Are you up to date on deductions, statutory deductions from employees up to April?
Yes. Yes.
You have deducted and remitted?
Mm-hmm. We've done that.
Okay, so if that was the true case, then May salaries are due towards the end of the week. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a problem as things stand.
But Chair, if again we don't receive the money from Treasury, the only what we receive from our bank overdraft is net.
So you see, Senator Cherargei, you were praising Governor Simba for working closely with the national government, but she's not paying dividends because it is not allowing him to pay salaries. Can we close this meeting?
Yeah.